we go. We are live on the YouTube for the Westlake Charter School board meeting for March 2026. Board President Golick, you have the YouTubes.
Welcome to those of you who are watching at home. If you're interested in making a public comment, those can be emailed to admin@westlakecharter.com. In the subject line, put the item to which you're commenting, and then please try and keep your comment to 250 words. We will make every effort to read them in during the meeting, but if that timing does not work, we will go ahead and have them sent out to all of board members. With that, Mrs. Wells, will you please take the roll?
Yes.
Ms. Wells.
Hope.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Josh.
Here.
Seth here.
Here.
Sally. Amber.
Here.
Suzanne.
Here.
Nerali.
Here.
Oh, there's one more
Katie.
below the fold.
Oh, there's one more below the fold. Katie.
Here.
Thank you.
Every
Miss
month,
Block
I
says
try
we're
to
loud
find
and
the
clear.
magical formatting to
Keep it
move
on
you
there.
up, Katie.
keep
I
trying to do the
promise.
same thing
Every
and
month I
it
try.
just doesn't work.
Like weird 0.5 point, just for the public, I try really hard. If I had Word, I could do it.
You can't insert pictures.
No.
Celebrations. Who would like to start? If you go first, you win
Nothing.
nothing. Oh, a cookie. You have a cookie. Who would like to go first? Celebrations.
But if you also don't go first, you get a cookie.
Okay.
Amber.
I would like to celebrate Missoula. So Missoula was just here last week. It was lovely during conference week because they had extra time to rehearsal week. And then there was 2 performances on Saturday, and it's always just very positive and a great way for students to be introduced to theater.
I love Missoula.
Me
Sean, you want to go your direction?
Sure. I will choose a different one than from governance. I think I saw my first class of 26 post of, where people have been accepted, and that's just a
There's
very,
2 up now.
Yep.
that's
They're
that's
coming.
a
They're
very
coming.
Exciting time.
Where are those at?
Instagram.
On the Insta whatnots.
Obviously, it must have, because I didn't sign up for a
Your
new one,
logarithm is
so
sending it to you?
they're redoing it.
Yeah.
So it was a nice surprise because I hadn't sought it out. It just kind of showed up.
Awesome. Sorry to interrupt. Katie?
I will celebrate student-led conferences. Most grades are doing those, and second trimester is a fun time where students are feeling really confident, and it's just a moment for them to shine and celebrate.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Love the call out to confidence.
I'm going to celebrate our middle school students who participated in the Sacramento Area Mathematic Educators Competition. When we went, 90% of the students that were there were Westlake students, and they did an amazing job showing this project that they had worked on over a month and a half, and got to celebrate that and then run off to Missoula.
And big shout out to board member Sally Hubbard, who helped organize and orchestrate said competition. And yeah, it was cool.
Give a shout out to Law and Order. The campus is coming alive as we approach spring, and as you drive on and walk around campus, it's just beautiful. And so they do a really good job nights and weekends when we're usually not around, and they do a really great job, and they have for many, many years.
Yeah, and both campuses. I saw a beautiful
This is true,
picture
both
of a
campuses.
tree in
Yeah.
bloom in the oasis at the high school, and it was just magnificent.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Josh?
Well, I was just going to celebrate. We have such a large group with us tonight. We got lots of faces, lots of voices, and looking forward to it.
Oh, I love it.
I'll celebrate Miss Harold Jones' first grade class. The kids earned our reward this week where Miss Harold Jones brought her dog into the class. And
Yeah.
you should have just seen their faces. That was the highlight. My daughter would not stop talking about it for 3 days. We're going to see Jet Row. We're going to see Jet Row tomorrow. I was like, okay, we finally. And the dog was so cute. It was in the class, and the kids just had a great time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to celebrate something only because I think it's so prominent in our community with everything going on in our neighboring districts. I'm very proud of the board we've established at our school. I'm very proud of the voices we have here. I'm very proud of having teachers on our board and seeing the significance of that. And I just want to celebrate everyone here for being on the board and having a voice.
Love it.
My celebration is actually very similar.
Oh, cool.
In the fact that, in looking at our community and the opportunities to be heard, the realization that, coffee talks do happen every month, that there's, time for people to come together to express both, glows and grows, at different times, and that the school is always willing to take those on. I think it's important that people feel heard, and I just wanted to celebrate the many opportunities Westlake provides for that.
I love it. I will celebrate. I don't have favorites, but an amazing teacher educator who I've now known for nearly 30 years. When I started at the Natomas Unified School District, Michelle Townsend was my very first department chair. She was an art teacher. I was a drama teacher, and if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have made it to year 2, because I didn't really think I didn't know how to take attendance, or didn't even know what a state standard was. But Michelle Townsend shepherded me into this industry and helped me flourish as a visual and performing arts teacher. And then we both got our separate ways. I ended up in administration. She spent a career in art teaching. She has impacted literally thousands of people. And Miss Townsend passed away recently, and her funeral was today. And many local educators got an opportunity to go to her funeral in Sacramento today. But man, just shout out to just this amazing woman who literally impacted thousands of lives. And I know because I've been in the zip code and haven't left for a long, long time. And so, I just shout out to Michelle Townsend and the impact she made in our community. Really a cool person. Kahigis, you want to play along? You don't want to say anything about being an Android user? That was celebrated earlier. That was celebrated, a little green bubble. AW, you want to play?
Yes. I'm going to celebrate Miss Rice, who is our new assistant principal this year, and specifically some work she's dialed in. We're focusing a lot on our middle school kiddos and helping them be exceptional explorers. And she's been putting together slide decks for advisory teachers to deliver, and she did one on microaggressions because it's a thing that we're seeing. Sure. And one of the teachers today said he delivered it in his advisory class, and it led to some great conversations with the kids, and it was just, it's really helpful to them just to be given this deck that says, here, try this in your advisory class, and he was really appreciative, and it's a phenomenal slide deck. So
yeah, love that.
Shout out to her for taking the time to do that work.
Great job, Mrs. Rice. Houston, did you start us? No, you did start us. That's it.
Yeah, full circle.
Yeah, we made it.
Any board comments for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to public comments.
Oh, I got this one.
Miss Mendez, is there anyone at the high school to make a public comment?
There's no one here wanting to make a comment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Mendez.
Ms. Wells, is there any emails?
There are no emails for public comment.
Thank you. With that, we'll go to our reports. The first being a wave report.
Oh, absolutely. I got a wave report for you. Let's see. Clickety click. There we go. Slideshow. And let's hope the audio works here.
Good evening, everyone. It's Felix, your wave president. I wanted to share a brief update on a few key areas as we move into the final stretch of the school year. First, we have 3 major events coming up over the next several weeks.
I'm just going to have the audio turned up here. I can't do it from my computer, so we're going to do it on the wall there. All right, let's try that again.
Good evening, everyone. It's Felix, your wave president. I wanted to share a brief update on a few key areas as we move into the final stretch of the school year. First, we have 3 major events coming up over the next several weeks. These are some of the biggest lists for the year, so our executive team is really focused on it. The first is International Festival on April 25th, which continues to be one of the most exciting and well-loved community events at Westlake. We're expecting about the same participation, if not more than last year, so that's exciting. Next, we have our wave elections on April 30th. Nominations are currently open right now and will remain open until about April 10th. And then we'll announce the slate of candidates on April 15th. And then elections, like I said, will take place at our April board meeting on the 30th. And then finally, we'll be celebrating our Staff Appreciation Week during the week of May 4th. We'll take some time to recognize and thank our incredible teachers and incredible staff who just make Westlake such a special, special place. Each of these events really do require a lot of significant planning and volunteer coordination. So the leadership team right now is focused on making sure everything is set up for success. Any support, encouragement, resources you can offer within your networks to help promote participation is always appreciated. Second, on the topic of elections, I just wanted to briefly acknowledge a conversation that took place at our February board meeting regarding the possibility of modifying the wave election process, which would involve potential changes to the bylaws. While there was some interest in exploring ways to make the election process more inclusive, there was also understandable concern about making changes to the bylaws themselves. So after discussing this with the executive board, we decided that the best course of action, for this year at least, is to proceed with the elections according to our current bylaws. But looking ahead, we plan to open up for future conversations with the community about the bylaws and possible improvements potentially at the May board meeting. But we felt it was important to wait until the newly elected board was in place so they can participate directly in that process. I wanted to provide a quick update on Wave's financial commitment to Westlake. As many of you know, Wave committed to $43,000 in support to the school this year. We're currently in the process of fulfilling that commitment before the end of the school year. I'll be working with the Chief Business Officer to finalize that distribution. And then as part of that process, we'll also begin conversations about what our commitment might look like for next year. This will likely include an informational discussion with Dr. Ike, the Wave Board, and CBO to review Wave's financial model and ensure that our approach remains sustainable while continuing to support the school in meaningful ways. Finally, one area I'm particularly excited about is working with Dr. Ike on developing a stronger strategic alignment between Wave and the school's broader priorities, especially as the early stages of the strategic plan begin to take shape. I think the goal of this work is really to better understand where Westlake's greatest needs and opportunities are and where there may be some vulnerabilities, and then identify where Wave could be just the most supportive of that. This could mean amplifying areas where the school needs additional community engagement or even taking certain initiatives off the school's plate and manage them through Wave itself. But I feel at the end of that process, we hope to create a document or a set of guiding priorities that really clearly outline where Wave can add the most value in supporting Westlake moving forward. So overall, our goal is to ensure that Wave remains a strong partner to the school. We want to continue to build community, support the classrooms, and contribute resources in a way that truly align with Westlake's mission. Thank you again for letting me take a few minutes to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing. I appreciate your continued partnership and support. I'm excited for where we're about to work ahead and appreciate the opportunity to keep collaborating together. If you need anything, obviously you can reach out to me at wavewcs@gmail.com or stop me when you see me on campus. Thanks for everything and have a great night.
All right, thank you, Mr. Flores. I just want like a let's wave at the end of that. Here we go. Let's go. All right, back to the agenda. Whoops, that's not the agenda.
Dr. Ike, while you're doing that, can I ask a question?
Sure, any questions?
If a parent wanted to throw their hat in the ring for the elections, he said they were open to April 10th. Do you know who they reach out to do that?
It's a good question. I don't know, but I could text and find out. Houston, do you know?
In the Wave Weekly, there is a link.
Okay, so this
it's a link in the weekly? Yep, there you go. I should know that.
Sorry, I don't get the weekly anymore, so I wanted to make sure I knew people knew where to look.
Yeah, good call.
I'm a big elections believer. With that, we'll go to Impact, which did not meet this last month because it was giving its time to finance for a longer meeting, which will come up, I'm sure, during Sean's report. Development actually meets next Monday. But did you have a meeting? You did.
We meet this coming Monday.
That's what I meant.
We met in February, yeah.
Okay, an update.
I think we talked about it at the last
We did,
board
right?
meeting,
We haven't met since then. My brain is
Yeah.
failing
No,
me.
we did, because I mentioned it.
Because of holidays.
Yes, yeah.
So we did a 6-week in between, so our
I just couldn't remember. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
There's the meetings. Finance, Sean.
Okay, so as Hope mentioned, we had a longer meeting, which was made possible by Impact very kindly moving their meeting or canceling their meeting so that we could take up their time too. Second interim was on our agenda, which is on our agenda this evening, and then that allowed, because that often takes up an entire meeting all by itself, then we were able to have a second meeting time where we could continue our certificated compensation discussion. So that was our 2-hour meeting.
Perfect. And then governance met tonight, right before this meeting. The 2 policies we discussed are on the consent agenda as items H and I. Additionally, we spent time discussing just like evaluation processes and procedures and what should be included and how to make those maybe sustainable over multiple years with the goal. It's more than a goal. I think we'll get it done, but bringing drafts to our next governance meeting with the hopes of getting something done and ready to go this spring. With that, and I'm going to kick that over to Dr. Ike's many slides.
I have many slides. Hello, everyone. Really excited because tonight is the spring academic report, so that'll be built into my executive director's report. So I'll do my traditional, celebrations, strategic actions, and updates. Try to keep those as concise as possible. But then I also added in the academic report. Then when we re-enter into the agenda, we'll have consent, and then we'll end up talking strategic plan down here in the discussion item, which is also a few slides. Nah, not that many slides. But I do have a worksheet for you during the academic report, so I know we love us some worksheets. So let's dive in and play. Thank you, Felix. You were awesome. Okay, let's do some celebrations. Spoken Word just launched in the 8th grade. Absolutely one of our favorite project-based learning opportunities. The students did a phenomenal job. Here is the pictures from the Sacramento Area Math Conference with 14 of our students presented at the Sacramento Area Conference. It was really cool. I almost thought about reaching out to one of our students and having them presenting their math here at the board meeting. I thought that'd be pretty cool. Missoula Children's Theater was celebrated tonight, but in so many different ways it is celebrated, from getting the kids on stage to orchestrating the whole event in 1 week to parent involvement to like the donations of cans of food, which were taken to Joey's Food Locker yesterday. Just the whole thing, tip to tail, is a wonderful celebration of our community. This was also celebrated by Mrs. Sanchez, our K-12 conference week. What I always celebrate about the conference week is that most schools have a conference opportunity in the fall. Westlake Charter School, because of our intentional collaboration with families, have conferences 2 times a year. And I love the spring, look at all the growth I've made. I love that. The talent show, did we not celebrate this last time? The talent show. And the big celebration here, I think, is that, and I know this happened last year, but we are a K-12 talent show. Where else can you go and watch a first grader kind of do karate, and then a 12th grade singer-songwriter kind of lay down some cool riffs, and you're like, this is so fun. Yes, the talent show's just taking on a whole new riff. It's fantastic. And then yesterday, I was notified that I was speaking too loudly in the hallway because I have a bit of a resonating voice. So I'm walking down the high school hallway. Hey, good morning. Hey, good to see you. Dr. Ike. And there's signs everywhere. So, of course, I'm just everywhere. Like it was like a comedy routine. I'm like, hey, oh, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. The SAT was taking place on campus. Not every school facilitates the SAT during the school day. As a board, you have authorized this to be done because it's not free. There is a cost to facilitating this on campus, but the entire high school campus gets quiet for a period of time so that our test takers can take this test. All of the juniors take the PSAT. They opt in for the SAT. I believe there are over 85 testers out of 100 and... not sure the number, but I think it's 121. But solid participation rate, and lots of heart palpitation. You can see everybody's so nervous. Yes, we did have a bit of a facility snafu. It hadn't rained in many moon, but for whatever reason, there was bloop, bloop. So you're taking this test, bloop. There's a trash can, bloop, 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 bloop. It's I'm like, I want to take a picture, but you can't take pictures inside of a testing environment, so I just thought I'd say it out loud. So it's something we are working with our facilities team on, but it was like, oh, didn't see that one coming.
Can I acknowledge just how scary that Scantron is?
It's probably a little triggering for you. I'm sorry, we use computers now. This is an old.
This is just more fun.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, please pick between A and J?
Yes, this is, it's A, B, C, D. E is all the above, D is none of the J is none of the above, A and B, C and D, A and F. Yeah, love that. That is intense Scantron for sure. Sorry, we had a fantastic time. 8th grade shadow days were last week. Was it last week? 8th grade came over to the high school, and the feedback that we heard was that 8th graders last year had asked for more time in the classroom, and so they got a lot more time actually shadowing, getting to see instruction at our high school, and it was really well received. The NASA Hunch Culinary Challenge. We have a judge in the audience. Maybe you would share with us how the Hunch Culinary Challenge go. Was it quesadilla?
No, it was a kale and black bean stuff.
Taco? Good taco.
Yes, it's a taco thing. They served it with chips that night. It is amazing. It is 100% something that I would eat. In fact, I think I have a copy of the recipe to give to you guys.
Yeah, and as you may or may not recall, the challenge is what? It is that they have to are given a set of criteria.
They're given a specific ingredient and a category of what they have to make, because they don't want everybody making a breakfast item. That I think they learned from having everybody make
It has to be
it.
nutritionally balanced to be
Has to be
appropriate in
nutritionally
space.
balanced, can't have too much sodium, has to be heavily spiced. There's all these different, I'm really freaking out the otter, or the owl.
You're okay.
All of these different metrics that they have to meet, and they took a lot of fine tuning of the recipe, and it was so good. It had black beans and kale and mango, and
Yeah.
it was amazing, but it was spicy. Oh, it was so good.
And we've had our hunch team make it all the way to the semifinals before, I
Yes,
think. So
yes.
we're
If
hoping
they
eventually make it in
then
the
they get
space.
to go to Houston to
Watch
make their recipe and do the things.
and watch the recipe
So
get
cool.
blasted off into space.
It's very
That's
cool.
so super cool. The K-12 lottery took place right here in this room this month, and it was fantastic to have people in attendance. And the emails went out, and immediately people knew, excitingly, whether they were placed in the wait list or the enrolled category. That was a lot of fun. And then we are out and about going to all the recruitment fairs right now. And so here we have Director Batten and Principal Block, but we've had several teachers participate as well. There's a form that went out in the Westlake Weekly. Are you interested in going? So I've had several, and that's my favorite part, because we get to Admin kind of gets to talk about the school all the time, but having a teacher at the booth talking to other teacher recruits is really cool. So a couple of fairs going on. The Sac State Fair is always fantastic because it's really a Northern California, lots of school districts from all around the region. Okay, let's talk about some strategic actions. This time of year we typically take a look at the executive director goals and say, hey, what do we think about doing this year and how are we doing? So I just thought I would talk about goals 1, 2, and 3 for the executive director. First goal is, lead a multi-year effort to show measurable growth and progress toward academic and social emotional readiness in alignment with the graduate profile. We've really had a strong year in this category, and I'm going to do the academic report later tonight. But, we've really clarified our targets around becoming a high track renewal. We've aligned all of our professional learning this year to that target. So you'll see that in a later slide, but we've done a 6-part PD in math curriculum, a 6-part PD in structured literacy. We've had 6-part PD around instructional design. Lots of work that's really targeting academic outcomes. We have increased interventions, and I'll talk about them in our academic report, but we have more intervention happening right now than we've ever had before. And actually, we're seeing some real interesting movement in some of the NWA data, which I'll talk about tonight. And our Westlake Charter High School leadership team is working on WASC Goal Area 1, and they have been for the last 5 or 6 months. And we're going to start to pivot, I think, from WASC Goal Area 1 to 2, where we start to talk about behavior, because that's really bubbling up in the strat plan. But a lot of good academic alignment this year. I mean, when we talk about this goal, and you talk about the boots on the ground practices that are really being facilitated, good work there. On the social emotional side, we're really kind of in an exploratory phase right now, where because the strategic plan is saying, hey, behavior is a critical factor to address when it comes to teacher retention, student production. This is that moment where we're really starting to go, okay, if we're addressing behavior, what part does SEL play into it, and how do we look at a comprehensive way to address that beginning in the fall? So I'll report on some of that next month, but I really think that I think we're making good progress in academic. I think the next step is SEL. I don't know why the animations are kind of backwards on this, but the second goal was to lead the multi-year process to produce and update a strategic plan, a charter, and our facilities use agreement by the end of 28. It used to say WASC, right? But now we got that one done. And in a couple of months, we'll peel back the strategic plan. So, we're working hard on the strategic plan this year. Obviously, these are the indicators that we had said in the initial prospectus. What we wanted the strategic plan to functionally do. We wanted this plan to reflect a shared vision grounded in the voices of student, family, and staff. I think you could tell by the strategic plan presentations that I've given in the last 5 months that this document is steeped in the voices of our constituents. It's supposed to articulate our core priorities in academic and SEL, collaboration, organizational health, and as you know, when you look at the framework we talked about last month, that strat plan seems to align well to those. Define measurable objectives, and as you're going to work on tonight in the strategic plan, we've got this progress monitoring metric or set of metrics that we're going to talk about tonight, which will really articulate that. And then celebrate our 20-year history while inspiring future growth. This idea of capturing our values and commitments is part of that right there. Like if we didn't write those things down, 5 years from now, what might you have forgotten about who we are? And so capturing some of that is part of that framework. So I think that thing's going pretty well. And I have messed up the animations on this. How hilarious. Nice shirt, by the way. Look at that. You knew that was coming. So goal area 3 kind of breaks out in 3 sections: recruit, develop, and then retain and engage. And I just want to kind of shout some things out about recruitment. You know, we opened the year fully staffed. We opened the year with some new administrative team members, which is a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift on our teachers to have a new principal. It's a heavy lift on our directors to have a new principal. I think the year's gone extremely well, but that's not nothing in the grand scheme of things. You know, we filled a coveted counselor position because Ms. Luna went up to the high school, and we feel really good about the counseling team right now, and filled that before the school year started. And then we had multiple mid-year leaves this year. You know, maternity leaves, paternity leaves, FMLA leaves, resignations, and all of them were responded to quickly and appropriately, and we are fully staffed as we sit here today. And I think that speaks to the strength of that administrative team and a lot of the work that the HR team does to make sure, hey, we're responsive to the needs of recruitment when positions need to be filled. And we're currently interviewing and attending career fairs for next year. It's super exciting. It's that time of year. I'm gonna go from recruitment to development to retention, but if anybody wants to stop me, feel free. All the animations. No?
I was more laughing at
the
box, how the box is
Yeah,
very
you're like,
empty.
oh, there it is. What's it gonna say?
Like you wanted to
Development.
be like, hey,
I know.
guess what's
I
next?
really had that. In my mind, the animations really went backwards on that one. Focus on the development. I told you earlier that, and I'm going to tell you again later during the academic report, we aligned all of our professional learning series to our strategic goals this year. Oh yeah, there's a picture of Sanchez. Sorry about that. Yeah, I knew it when I did it too. Yeah, you're like, hey, what are we doing? We've iteratively improved Everest Academy in the area of development this year and fostering kind of new learning ways. We have facilitated learning a little differently. We have a lot of teachers on stage facilitating Everest, which is really cool. We're using it to guide some of the PLC work. We piloted a peer coaching piece that included 16 staff members this year. We developed a parent academy to train families through Everest on volunteerism. So we tried some new things in this area of development of all of our constituents. And then we're planning for the launch of this WAVE strategic alignment set of meetings that you heard Felix Flores talking about. We're really going to kind of get in public and say, hey, what's the best way for our two organizations to work together and like produce what comes next based on some of our strategic goals? What's that box going to say? Retention and engagement. So I really think that through the strategic planning process, we've demonstrated a form of engagement. You know, we have over 300 family surveys, over 150 staff surveys. We had 4 family focus groups. We had 10 staff focus groups. We have thousands of data points. So there has been engagement in let's bring our voices to the table. When we talk about retention and engagement, if that facilitates engagement, it is my wholehearted belief that like future retention of staff and families will be a direct result of how we are able to take action in response to the data we've collected. So sitting at a table and listening to people and really hearing them vulnerably say, hey, behavior's tough in my classroom. Hearing them vulnerably say, hey, compensation and benefits is something that needs to be addressed. Hearing families vulnerably say, hey, differentiation is incredibly important, and I think my student's getting some of this but needs more of this. People saying that is engagement. Us responding to it, that's retention. So I think the solution to the, to a potential part of the solution to the retention issue across the nation is this process, making sure that leadership is shared and it's responsive and that listening happens, but beyond listening, action takes place once listening, begins. So I think we're in a good spot right there. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns on the 3 goals or how they're manifesting, or did I miss anything, or does anything seem inaccurate? It's going to be a lot of slides, so just thought I'd try to engage you. It's good. All right. Let's talk a little updates. Let's talk a little lottery and enrollment. This is kind of fun, right? Random public lottery was held. The applicants were emailed that evening whether or not they made it into the spots. We offered 105 kinder spots. Remember, we hold back 5 spots in case of retention, so the next 5 people on the wait list would get those 5 spots as we get to 110. 2 4th grade spots and 75 9th grade spots are offered. As of the 11th, that was yesterday, we had 104 kindergartens, accepted. So we're waiting on that one person. Hey, you got like 24 hours left here to make your decision. We have 167 on the wait list. So I'm pretty sure we'll fill that last spot. We have 2 out of 2 4th grade accepted the offers. We have 129 on the wait list, and then we had 67 of the 75 accept. For the 9th grade spots, and we have 25 remaining on the wait list. And we've got a new process in the wait list for 9th grade. What we used to do is come to the board and say, hey, we have 87 people on the wait list. But that would include people who declined, and then we put them in the back of the list. But then, we come back to them, and they're like, well, I declined 3 months ago. So they're not really on the list. And so this year we said, well, when we report to the board, let's say, if you've declined, we're not going to report you as a waitlister anymore. That's interesting. Some interesting things are going to happen regarding projected enrollment based on these numbers here. But Hope, what do you got?
Were we moving kindergartners back that same, like say 105 says no?
That's a great question. When Melissa and I talked about it, we only determined that we do this, but I have to get back to you. That's a good question.
If we're going to do it for 9th grade, I would just.
Yeah, would you note that so we can make sure to clarify that? No, it's great. It's a great clarifying question. So enrollment projections as of right now, or yesterday, we are currently, as we stand right now, at the high school, 138 freshmen, 137 10th graders, 112 11th graders. Oh, I said that during SATs at 112. I think I got that right. Maybe I didn't. And we have 93 current 12th grade students, so we'll see them all at graduation with a current enrollment of 480 students. Now, here's the thing about the 500-seat cap at the high school with plus or minus 3%. If you only have 93 12th graders and you replace them with 150 freshmen, yeah, the math doesn't math out that great. So we're projected right now at 145 freshmen. And then we're going to roll forward all these other numbers as if nobody's going to leave over the summer. But we know people do, but let's take a look. And then that's going to take you out to 532, and you only have a maximum capacity in the facility use agreement of 500 plus 3%, which would take you to 515? Yeah, thanks, quick math there. Yeah, so if you don't lose 15 kids over the summer, you're over. Maybe you don't enroll to 145, but when you're building a master's schedule, you're trying to put 28 kids in a class. How many English classes do you need for 9th grade English? It matters. You don't want to under-enroll freshmen and then have classes of 20 kids per class, because that means down the hall in that classroom, you're going to have too many kids. You have 35 kids. So master schedules are tricky at the high school. It's not like filling our elementary classes. We're like 22. That was easy. So it's a little different. We're well equipped to handle it. I just wanted to give you a full peek behind the curtain of oh yeah, when you have the small senior class and they go and you come back in. I think when we dreamed up this place, we're like 125, 100. That's going to work out great. But it's such a fluid number. So any questions on that?
I have one question.
Neural and Separate.
Projected 9th grade is 145, but on the prior page,
75 offers.
Yeah,
and those are offers to the lottery folk, right? So what that means is the lottery people are not 8th graders at our school. And so we kind of have this calculus right now where you put out this form of how many of you are coming back. We assume that 50% of the freshman class, or 75 kids, are going to be our kids, which 75 kids represents more than 50% of our 8th grade class. So 8th grade class is only 112, right? So you're playing the numbers here. You're playing the numbers, and so and it's very fluid because what happens is you offer the 75 spots. Luckily, you have the wait list because then what happens is people take a spot. And then midsummer, they're like, oh, just kidding, we're not taking that spot. So if we over-enroll, if we get 75 of our 8th graders to roll up, and we end up over-enrolled, we're pretty confident that by the time you get there, it'll whittle down to 145. But again, it's just it's a daily operational. Like, oh, where'd that kid go? Could we backfill? Should we backfill? So there's a little bit of that. And Setfer?
I think you answered it, but what happens if we go above the 515 number with the projected enrollment, right? So
Nobody knows. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. We don't really, I mean, we have an agreement with our partners at the Natomas Unified School District, who are phenomenal partners, and the agreement is like, hey, you guys shouldn't grow more than 500, and we're like, yeah, we're going to try not to, but it's a little bit of a tricky game, just like it is, they know, because they're like, enter comes this many kids, just kidding, it's this many, oops, just kidding, it's, right, it's ebb and flow. So, we just have this agreement on paper to hold true, and we're not trying to break any rules. So we'll just, if we end up over, we'll, I'm sure, report to them, hey guys, this is where we're at, and through attrition, we'll get back to where we need to be. But we won't intentionally, like, try to over-enroll, because that's not ethical for us, right? But yeah, I mean, is it a breach of contract? We have a facilities use agreement that says we'll hold the 500 plus or minus 3%, and so we'll try our best. Yeah, it's a good question. Anybody else? Cool. Attendance is just kind of an interesting game to talk about, because we've been talking a lot about how to improve attendance and through our different efforts. And so, oh, look at that, X and Y. What is this? Well, there we go. I'll fill them in from my brain. Melissa Grunholz, if you're watching. Remember when we were going to do that? So look at 2024-2025 year-to-date K-12 attendance. Year-to-date on our spreadsheet that we look at monthly before we sign is roughly 94.1, maybe it's 94.18. Steve, if you could look it up year-to-date, that'd be great. Currently in the 25-26 year-to-date, doesn't take into account the end of the year, so we don't know, but currently we're just over 95. So we're a full percentage point above. We will continue to budget on 94, because this is right now only 8 months of data. We're going to need multiple years of data to make it accurate. But we are currently trending X and Y.
Last
year to date
was 93.92, and this year is 95.19.
You said 93.92, so close to 94.
Yep.
And then we're currently 95.
Yep.
0.12. Yeah, thanks. Sorry, team. My slides are everywhere right now. The animations are, I'm telling you. There goes my evaluation. There goes my evaluation. Yeah, so again, that's basically a point. We know that in a $20 million budget, a 1 point is $200,000. That's fantastic for us as a school. But more importantly, it's not just about the ADA dollars and cents of it all, although because we have fiduciary oversight as a board, it's important to us. But look, it's time in seat, right? It's that seat time. It's being in school, helps learning, helps us adopt the norms of the institution. So Mrs. Batten, who's been working on attendance diligently, put together some really interesting data, because this has been the highest impacted area. Kindergarten is always the hardest. It's just hard. You've never been to school before. You come in, all of a sudden you got germs everywhere. You're more sick more often. Kindergarten attendance is always the lowest. However, through some articulated communications and helping people, we can see from the 2024-25 to 2025-26, and that's year-to-date data, or end-of-year data, and that's year-to-date data. So those are a little off, but you can see K-1-2 each had significant or interesting growth. So we also see this piece, which is really important to that dashboard, is not about attendance, but about chronic absenteeism, right? So chronic absenteeism, just to test the audience, is a metric that is measured by the number of students who, Bueller? Yeah, missed 10% of the school year, right? So if we'd only been in school for 100 days and you missed 10%, or 10 days, so for us, 180 days, yeah. If you miss 18 days, you're considered chronically absent. That's chronic absenteeism. So we're able to track it throughout the year based on the number of days that we're in, and we're seeing a reduction by 30 students. Wow. just through communication efforts. Now, one big thing is that we're expanding the on-campus celebrations and recognizing students developing strong attendance habits. And you can see what happens down here when you're committing to celebrate, committing to communicate. You're just seeing a reduction in chronic absenteeism and an improvement in overall attendance and ADA. Ms. Husted?
I do have one question about this. This all makes sense for K-2.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we knew attendance was gonna drop when we added high school,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
As it often does,
Sure, your kindergartners and your seniors,
right? So that's what I was gonna ask, is you said
Yeah.
they're the lowest. Are seniors,
Actually, I should pull
Is
the
there-
data and bring
I'm
it in.
just curious
I
if there's
think
any
we
growth
focused
there.
on this growth because we didn't see the big bump.
I'm sure
from this-
seniors are a lot, like, it's hard to motivate them with
Yeah, this
recognition and celebration.
Yeah. You got your little sticker. But this particular campaign that we've been working on this year, while it did result in K-12 attendance growth, we're seeing most of the growth down here, and we did not see a spike in high school, but nor did we see a drop off. I think where they're just like, yeah, got your letter.
It's flat. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was curious
But I can
about.
bring back that data.
It's
more,
okay. I was just
articulately.
curious if there was any growth there.
I think because we look at the attendance all the time internally, and I just want to say out loud to the board, like, hey, let's not count on it yet, but a full point of growth is like, it's we're like, I guess that's an appropriate shift. I wouldn't call that flat in this world because it's a lot of data, right? It's based on data. So, Raleigh, were you going to make a comment?
Yeah, I know we talked earlier this year at the beginning, there was the opportunity to recoup some of our.
Oh.
Am I jumping the gun?
No, you're great. You're great.
Okay.
That's totally appropriate. So we are able to do attendance recovery now,
Attendance recovery.
and I don't believe that this data includes attendance recovery because I believe that's popped in retroactively. But I'll clarify that and bring it back. Can we make a comment about that? Because it is my understanding that the current year data includes current year data, and then you retro that back. And we have summer school, post July 1 attendance recovery. Then we did intercession in October, and we did intercession in February. It was really successful at the K-8, and really got some great intervention work out of that. And now we're exploring going into next year some independent studies daily credit recovery pieces and maybe some Wednesday afternoons in base. Kind of a different, like going back to the ROAR model. So, but that's to come. For right now, I don't believe that the attendance recovery is in these numbers. Do you feel like that's true? I think it's true. Yeah, but I'll clarify.
ROAR model?
Oh yeah.
Outstanding academic results.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It was our before and after school intervention program. So, gosh, back in the day, Westlake would say, "Hey, could you bring your kid in 45 minutes early, and we'll do some intervention? And hey, do you mind if we keep your kid after school, and we'll do this before and after school intervention model?" But then that evolved into intervention during the school day because we had a harder time getting more of our at-risk students to show up in the early or stay late. But we're gonna give it a college try. We think the Wednesdays might be a gateway to that.
And Roar was just a fun way.
Right, that was before me. I don't know. Yeah, like a roar and a wave and a bass, and it was all coming together. It was great. Anything else on attendance? Super duper. Second interim budget. I'm gonna just do that. I'm gonna just roll with that. I have really built these slides not up to my own expectations. I'm gonna scroll down and get to academic report. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was thinking.
I have totally. I'm so sorry, man.
Right, I was impressed.
Was it 38? Was it 38? You're like, we're done. Nope. Now we're gonna do academic report, and this is where it gets exciting and new. There's good stuff. Could everybody pass down these worksheets and play-alongs? I'm gonna keep one, and once everybody gets one, I'll kind of explain how the game is played. Sha-la-la-la, la-la-la-la. Oh, I didn't start my timer. Well, I'll have to know. Thank you. I do. I have multiple. There. Just bumped into Owlie. Oh, yeah. It's making you like.
Well, Amy's in it a lot because of John's hand.
Oh, yeah, and I got AC behind me, so then it goes, oh, me kid, we're in the picture. If I could grab everybody's eyeballs over here, and then what I'll do is I'll show you what you got. So I just want to give you a space to scribble, and we're going to cover in the academic report establishing targets, efforts to make progress towards said targets, Tier 1 math and English language art interventions, Tier 2 interventions. And so as I cover those things, you can kind of scribble. At each separation or interval, I'm going to go, okay, before I move on to the next topic, do you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns? And you can kind of consult your notes on that. Then we're going to get into this second page, which is like when I get to progress monitoring, which I think is the mainstay, the meat and potatoes of an academic report, like, hey, how are we doing? As I get there, I'm going to unpack NWEA, CASP, the English Language Performance Indicator, or LP, and then graduation and college career readiness. So those 4 boxes, same deal. Those get pretty deep because, well, there's just a lot of slides. So that's where you'll make some scribbles, and when I'm moving from one box to the next, I'll pause and go, any questions, and you can consult your notes. Or stop me at any time. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then there's a box down there for final thoughts and notes. Okay, well, if the deck goes as well as it has before, it'll all go backwards completely. All right, there's Everest. And Everest, want you to know, you got these 3 goals that articulate with one another. Board Goal 1, Executive Director Goal 1, and WASC Goal 3. And all 3 of them kind of align vertically to describe how and why and where we should look at academics. And so I'll unpack it. All 3 of them establish this step 1. You got to establish some targets, right? This one here says, like, show measurable growth, look at student outcomes, right? So what are the targets we're looking at? Number 2, they say deploy efforts to make progress. It is our charge to please go and make progress on those targets. And then they all call out, hey, make our board regularly informed, show measurable growth, systematic approach to measurement and analysis, right? So all 3 of them say monitor and report on progress. So that's what I'm going to do here tonight. I'm going to start with the targets because I think we have pretty well established targets right now. However, in our strategic planning process, we can talk about, like, what do we want the academic targets to be? How do we want to measure and create metrics? So you'll recall that we're trying to do 5 points of growth in math, 5 points of growth in English language arts, as measured by CASP, and 55% of our students making progress on LP. The board and the staff have both seen this like kind of multi-year academic goal targeting charter renewal. I've spoken with staff last year and this year about this. The board's well aware of it. And then on the 9-12 graduation and college and career readiness, we'll be speaking to both of those targets tonight. Now, we'll be progress monitoring those, but I don't know that we have out loud like, this better be the outcome. We don't have that target there. So again, as we go forward, I wonder what we do about that. Deploy and make efforts. This is kind of a thick part of the slide deck because I want you to hear all the work that this school is doing to make progress toward these goals. And if it's not our intention to do this much work, and the work's expensive, as you look at your budget, and you see all the staffing, these people, the instructional aides, all the people doing the work, the TOSAs, the teachers, if that's not all the work we want done, then it's a good conversation for us to have. So we're going to talk about deploying efforts to make progress toward targets. Here's a quick note, so I don't want to bury the lead here. The following slides show a lot of effort, but then the slides after that are showing progress. You're going to see some progress tonight. So if I put you to sleep in the first half of the deck, wake up at the end when you go, oh, look at that, we're making good progress. So stick with me because I think that's the punchline on the whole deck tonight. So we're going into it. We're going to talk about the efforts we're making. Ready? First effort that we're making is we're aligning our professional development with these targets. We said we want growth in math and growth in English language arts and growth in LP. And if you look at our 6-part series in math and instructional practices and structured literacy and GLAD, which targets English learners, and QTEL, which targets English learners, and UDL, which targets English learners, and instructional practices, which targets. So the PD work is really aligned to these targets. And we have to be careful as a board, like when you make a target and you have everybody going after it, make sure it's the right target. right? I think as we look at the behavior series at the bottom, we think, well, if you work on behavior, you're going to improve your instruction and your engagement in class. And as we go into this strat plan, we're going to be doing a lot of that work, it looks like, if we stay on track. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Tier 1 efforts. So what's Tier 1 on the MTSS pyramid over here, right? It's this bottom part of the tier. It's the base of the tier. It's something that everybody gets. So these are things that everybody should get in alignment with these goals and targets. Math, LP, English Language Arts. So Tier 1 efforts. We've increased our focus on math, quite obviously, because the math PD, the K-8 Imagine Math practices, Mrs. Sanchez is recognized nationwide as having a classroom that's excelling in that. This Imagine Math focus that allows, personalized goals to be established across the K-8. So we're just raising the focus on math. This is a Tier 1. We're reviewing math alignment and course selection. Really cool work being done by the math department at the high school right now, talking about course sequencing and vertical alignment. And then kindergarten through 12th grade, we're starting to use these focused interim assessment blocks. You'll hear them referred to in EDU as FIABs. Does that ring a bell for anybody? You know what FIABs is? Yeah, you'll hear it in the rhetoric like, oh, we're using FIABs. They are basically practice tests that really mirror how CASP is going to look. But they're really hard. I mean, they're rigorous, and they are like, if you're teaching to this thing, your kids are getting high rigor. So we are starting to use these and use them in conjunction with our professional learning community or collaborative work. All of the 3-8 math teachers and our 11th grade teachers are facilitating at least 2 FIABs before spring break. And then teams will review that data in PLCs and departments. And it's just, that's good and new work for us. So when we talk about addressing our goals, the targets that we've set as a board, there are people out there working hard on this, and when you see a teacher and they're like, oh man, I'm working my tail off, it's hard to sometimes know what they're talking, like, you're asking them to do this is new, this is new, you're asking them to go to these PDs, it's a lot of work, so hard work's going in. Also, English Language Arts, Tier 1, again, something everybody gets. Really focusing on the K-8 side with all staff were trained in Lexia. We've launched a kind of Lexia challenge that mirrors the math challenge, which is super cool. 6-part series in structured literacy that kind of on day 1 alludes to why Lexia has some super strength inside of it. So, some really strong practices on the K-8 side along to these ELA efforts. And I think later in the data you'll see some of those outcomes for sure. We're going into Tier 2 now. If Tier 1 was like, what are we doing to make sure everybody's getting what they need, step 1, best first instruction programs, practices, curriculum, and content. Tier 2 is, right, what do I get in class or maybe even pulled out of class to get a little something extra? Kids who get Tier 2 should always get Tier 1. You should get that teacher's first best instruction, but then you should get a little extra because maybe you're behind. Everybody with me on Tier 2? Right. So K through 5th grade, we have K-3rd doing Tier 2 Foundations, which is our phonics program. 4th and 5th grade are getting Just Words, which is our phonics program. 4th and 5th are getting oral reading fluency if they've kind of graduated out of the Just Words program. And then we have Tier 3 phonics. This is for kids who are typically 2 or 3 grade levels behind in reading. If you go over to 6th and 8th grade, Just Words elective. So that means instead of going to your esports elective or some cool elective, you have phonics intervention because you're that far behind in your reading, and Tier 3 phonics as well. So I want you to kind of take a look at this chart here. Recognize that these rows are for these different groupings. This note here is that when we talk about RIT scale score, that's your score on NWEA. And when you talk about percentile, that's on that norm reference curve. If you're above the 50th percentile or below the 50th percentile, 50th percentile being average. So 79% making gains in RIT, 42% of them making gains on percentile. This is really a critical thing to understand, that like you should be making gains on RIT as you go across the school year, but if you're making gains on percentile, that means you're actually outpacing the expectation for yourself, right? So if you expected me, a third grader to make 42 points of RIT growth this year, and I make 42 points, my percentile probably stays the same. If I was in the 50th percentile, made my 42 points of growth, I'm like still in the 50th percentile. So these kids over here who were outpacing percentile are actually making more growth than was expected. Does that make sense? So then you go down, you're like 42, 38, 64, 55, and what we find here is that students who are engaged in interventions, 46% of them overall made percentile growth. So that's really good in English language arts. Cool. Let's talk about.
Ask a question on that?
Please.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Jump in.
I don't know when to time what we're doing. So I'm assuming, I don't want to assume, part of this is so you can evaluate which programs are.
No, these are stacking and differentiated programs because they do different things.
No, I know, but like, I mean, so for instance, tier 3 phonics, right? You're having 64% make written score gains, and 55% of that are doing percentile jumps. So when I look at this data, I feel like you're getting a lot of bang out of maybe that tier 3
I get you.
phonics program. You're getting a lot of product out of all of them, but like, is this part of, are you using that to sort of determine what program might be leading to what type of gains?
Yeah, it's a great question. And to be clear, this is 64% of total, and this is 55% of total, not 55% of 64%.
No,
just want to clarify.
Yeah.
And then each one of these really addresses a different need. I would potentially be in Foundations Tier 2 small group if I was, a grade level behind.
Yeah.
But I would only be in tier 3 if I was like 2 or 3 grade levels behind. So I wouldn't really compare these two, but I would say this kid might do some of this and then end up in this one and graduate through. But we are utilizing this for efficacy of program, and which I think is what you're asking. And we're actually very happy about the percentile growth because this growth alone, the RIT score growth, actually indicates growth. And some of these kids have been flatlined in the 3rd percentile for so long that RIT growth alone was enough for us to go, all right, we're starting to make movement.
In actuality, my question, I think, was meant to be sort of like a scaffold question, and the fact that I figured you were going to say that each of these programs are essential in their own way, and so it doesn't really do a lot of good to compare them against each other, because they're all addressing different things. And so I was more, just for people who are not in the room or maybe are watching this later, to understand that they're all different and unique in their own way.
Yes, there's an edu nerddom to the whole thing.
That's all.
And probably the smartest person in the room, Katie Sanchez, could explain to you why phonics and then oral fluency are totally different skill sets. Ms. Patel.
We've always had interventions. Are these new programs? Are they changing the way these are done grade after grade? I kind of wanted you to just elaborate.
It's great. I mean, it's great. So we have we've utilized a few of these more regularly than others. One of them is a more recent adoption that was piloted last year, but as of this year, as of this fall, all of these would have been considered adopted programs or intervention pieces for us. The big change is the frequency. And we could do more. The problem is you run out of staffing. I mean, we have instructional aides who used to be, helping out with some work in my classroom, but now they're basically interventionists. I mean, we have a few instructional aides who are spending a majority of their day moving through the organization, doing multiple intervention groups hour to hour to hour. And so we have far more interventions than we've ever had. So I guess that would be the big new, is that's a more, it's more frequent, more kids getting more intervention.
From what I understand, it's really difficult to schedule as well, because then you're also deciding when students are going to, what they're going to miss.
Yes, Wendy would not want to be in Mrs. Sanchez's class. There's something happening all the time, so then you're like, oh, you want to pull them out of specialties? You're like, oh, now is this poor kid going to miss the art class? Oh, it is. Yes, which is partly why you're like, hey, maybe that after school thing has a little bit of merit. Yeah, yes, it's hard. It's hard, and we're constantly experimenting with it and noodling with it, and I think what you're going to see is the results are moving in a way that we like, but it's like I said, it's a lot of hard work. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do those percentage identify that they include students on IEPs and all that? Or?
Yes. Students with disabilities can be included in this, and there is a differentiation in the digging deeper data protocol where we determine, this kid's 3 grade levels below, and this kid's 3 grade levels below, but this one's getting intervention through the Student Support Services program because they have an IEP, and so we're not going to put them in both because then they're going to be pulled out all day. So we do kind of make that determination, but there are many kids inside the data here who are either identified with an IEP or some even potentially dual identified as an English learner and a student with a disability. So yeah, I mean it's pretty complex, but I'm proud of the work the team's doing. Math intervention, very similarly, we have a Kickstart intervention program. This one was new to us last year, and the early results from it were so promising that we were like, hey, this thing's working. Let's bring it back. And so we're really excited about that. And then the math intervention elective at the middle school has actually been a home run, and we've never done it before. So again, elective time being utilized for intervention doesn't sound like the most popular thing to do to, 16 8th graders, Hey, you wanted esports? We're going to do some more math, And so at first it was like, is this going to work? But actually, in interacting with the students, we found, a lot of resistance at first, and then actually this feels good because I go into math class, I never know what's happening. I'm starting to gain some more skills. So really enjoying that piece right there. You see the percentage of students who made RIT score growth, but look at the percentile growth. I mean, that's a lot of kids making percentile growth. Yeah, it's really good. Again, on average, 52% of our students made percentile growth kindergarten through 8th grade on this piece here. So tier 2 work, going very well. It's very identifiable. I mean, you walk through our campus and you see small groups in the flex rooms, and you're like, I know what's happening there. That's what's happening there. Harder to identify those tier 1 strategies. You have to go into a person's classroom and recognize these embedded tier 1 strategies, but the tier 2 work is pretty identifiable. So yes, obviously, like I just spoke to, continuation of all of these intervention pieces. We have tried some intercession. So I spoke to that when we talked about attendance. We had students in October and February break come to school and get multiple hours per day for multiple days of intervention work. And we really felt the October one was very exploratory, experimental, and we learned a lot. We came back in February and really had some solid traction on the elementary side of the house with some of the intervention materials that we used. So we thought that worked really well. In 9-12, again, this is super nuanced, but the flex block after school meeting and the new department meetings that have been built into the schedule are really allowing our teachers at the high school, much like 3rd grade has common prep, high school doesn't have that because of the schedule. There's no common. So then you give these amazing educators this opportunity to jam together in the afternoon, and they're discussing instruction and grading and support and how flex blocks operate. And so we're seeing some of that tier 2 work there. Credit recovery also through intercession in summer school, and also will be attendance recovery there. So those pieces are all on the table. I guess I'll list out this last piece, then I'll stop and ask if there's any questions. But for English learners specifically, remember we're trying to track 55% of our students making progress on the English language performance indicator. We have designated ELD or English language development classes at the high school. So in your schedule, you're not being pulled out of art class. You have a English learner development or English language development class at high school. We have a ELD elective in our middle school. These are all new innovations for us. We also have pull-out groups, as we've described, at K-5. We have the FIAB practice in designated classes, and you'll see later on that we think that's something we're really going to go strong into next year for our English learners. So we're learning a lot right now. Our professional development series in QTEL, which I wish I remember what it stood for. QTEL, Quality Teaching in English Language. It's GLAD, but for high school, so it's English Learner Integrated Language Acquisition in the Classroom. We had 19 additional teachers took that in this 25-26 school year. And then professional learning support for GLAD with our amazing TOSA, or teacher on special assignment, Jessica Ashby. We've got to come up with these goals and incentives for students to personalize their target growth, and they're going to get rewards for that inside their classes. And so, we really predict that these efforts are going to help show some growth on the LP dashboard, and we'll talk about that when we get to progress monitoring. So, Westlake Charter School K-12 is making a lot of efforts. I mean, you can see all the things that the teams are doing. My question is, do you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns before we move on to progress monitoring and reporting? Anything you scribbled down, any thoughts, any clarifications? Thanks for stopping me in the middle and jumping in. I love it. What do you got, Hope?
It's more of a feeler question.
Yeah,
What are we calling the electives? Because
that's a good question.
I have my own memories of middle school, but it's not necessarily the most, the population can be kind of rough when you feel or look or have something different.
It's a great comment about, I said it earlier, be careful what targets you put out there, because you will drive the organization towards said targets. And so all those things we're doing because we're trying to meet a goal. And in trying to meet said goal, you start to become who you weren't before in ways that you couldn't have anticipated. So is it possible that somebody is now in a math intervention elective and they're like, where are you going? I'm going to esports. Where are you going? Math intervention. This stinks, So with great intentions, you end up in a place that you didn't intend
And
to.
I think they're great electives.
Totally.
Know that I think it's a great use of time. I always feel for those that feel different.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Some people call them sidecar classes. There's all kinds of nomenclature for these types of classes, but bringing them into our schedule, we'll see if they have a definitive impact. I skirted the question. I don't know what they're called. I think they're
But
called.
the lawyer noticed.
I think they're called math intervention. But let's note that. Could somebody?
Oh, I'm sure they.
Well, can you look at the master schedule? Tell me what they're called.
I get how that works too, but if you're interverting, I wasn't sure if you're looking at a particular subject, like if it was a phonics intervention versus
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
I don't have questions,
Okay.
but I just want to say, wow, that was amazing to not only see, but then just back end, I can't even fathom all the other changes that are happening and just the amount of effort that your team is.
Yeah, well, I would go on record to say that while Heather Chastain, Reese Ornelas, Jessica Ashby, Danielle Rojo, all these teachers on special assignment who orchestrate this machine, along with all the interventionists, Gretchen and Rachel and Trin, and all the instructional aides who do that work, the teachers are also at the center of it all. So even if a kid's getting pulled out, you're like, oh, it's not the teacher doing that work. Oh, yeah, because whatever that kid misses when they come back. So, here we have hundreds of interactions amongst all of these people. So I would celebrate, the Chastains and the people who orchestrate this. But really, there's not a single person on this campus or either campus who isn't somehow impacted by this investment in intervention. So yeah, it's good to recognize the people doing the work. Obviously, Katie Davis, Jen Kaiu, that whole team are crushing it on this side of the house for sure. Hope?
Wait, one other comment, having been here a long time, to your point about how we change. So when he first talked about, I'm going to hopefully get this right, the FIABs, my instinct was like, oh no, more testing? Are we just about to score? I had a moment. Yeah. And then, but then you said, 2 times. Well, 2 times doesn't sound awful, right? It sounds like a solid middle ground. So I just make this comment to say that I appreciate that there appears to be balancing of who we are, but also where we need to get to.
When we get to strategic plan, here's a little plug, right? Making sure that your academic goals for student growth include language that says to ensure joyful, challenging, and personalized experiences, right? Not just high test scores. We need joyful learning to stay in the work that we do. So, all right, only 119 more slides to go. Just kidding.
The names now.
Yeah, what are the names of the?
So the reading is called Just for Words, which is cool.
Because that's the name of the curriculum.
Math is just math intervention.
Math intervention.
Yeah.
We got to get some cool names, man.
Like the double digits.
Right, the Unicorn Popcorn Club.
Maybe we could use Just for Words and Just
That's
for
good.
Numbers.
Just for words, just for numbers. Yeah, I love it. I love it. But it's good feedback because that's why we have a board with diverse opinions and diverse lenses, because then I'm like, oh, cool, let's steal that. Thank you. And let's give that back to the team to not forget that we stand for, you know, the, what'd you call it, the feel?
The feels.
The
I don't
feels.
like anyone to feel other.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, middle school is, yeah.
It's good. All right. We're leaving the first page. We're heading to the second page of the worksheet, and we're talking about a little progress monitoring. Let's check in on what we're going to report on. So we're going to talk about NWEA as a universal screener. Everyone takes NWEA, so we know where everyone's at. That helps us identify who needs intervention, right? Also, we're going to talk about NWEA as a CASP predictor. You're going to find out it got harder. We're going to talk about English learner progress monitoring, graduation rate, college and career readiness, and we'll take them one at a time. I'll remind you what NWEA is, right? We're going to talk fall 25 to winter 26 growth data. NWEA is a norm referenced test, as you may recall, and that's why we have the bell curve on here. Remember that a norm reference test takes all of the testers. In this case, it's a nationally norm reference test, which means all the kids across the nation that take this particular test are normed on this bell curve, which means they figure out, okay, what's average? And that is the 50th percentile right there. So you take this test, they compare you to every other student who's your age and has the same number of weeks of instruction that you do at the time you take the test, and you're benchmarked on this curve. You're either below the 50th percentile or above the 50th percentile, indicating below average or above average on this exam. You with me? Yeah, norm referenced. The scale score, we call it the RIT score, or the scale score, is compared on that norm reference curve as I described, and these norms are based on the 2025 norm reference study using national data. So, 2025, that was just this last year. Every 5 years, they change the norms, which doesn't seem very normal at all. It's like, yeah, the last 5 years wasn't very normal at all. Funny you should say. Good, yes, because you may recall that over the last several years that we're using NWEA to predict CASP. I'm like, hey guys, super great. What we know, because of the linking study between NWEA and CASP, the linking study indicates that any student who scores in the 61st percentile on NWEA is probably going to meet minimum standards on CASP. Remember, CASP is 4 levels, 1, 2, 3, 4. A 3 meets standards, a 4 exceeds standards. You're like, if you get a 61st percentile, you meet standards. So you're telling me you got to be 11 points above average to meet the bottom benchmark for California. Are you with me? Yes. You got to be above average to meet the bottom benchmark for on target. In the old norms, that was true. In the new norms, I'll give you a 4th grader, because now we've changed by grade level, because there's no like universal. Let's give you this 4th grade example. If you score between 213 and 224 in that range, you would be in the 69th to 88th percentile. And if you look up in this column, what are we saying? We're saying in this column, level 3, which means you met standard on CASP. You have to score in a range of 2485 to 2548. So if you are scoring in the 69th percentile, we're going to say you're just going to make it. So that means you have to be 19. Well, wait, because that's a 4th grader. Look at an 8th grader. You have to be in the 75th percentile. Do you know what it is in the 11th grade? Because I do. I just didn't have room on this slide. It's the 82nd percentile. So, NWEA is a universal screener. It's great for some stuff. Used to be okay for predictions. Here's my example. I just explained. You got a 213, you're a 69th percentile, you're going to meet measure 3. So this means, okay, it's all breathe. This means that the 50th percentile is farther away from meeting the California standard for achievement than it was prior, right? Mm-hmm. It used to be the 61st percentile, which is 11 points over 50, 50 being average. If you're 11 points over average, you were going to meet on CASP. And what just happened? The 50th percentile just got farther away. It wasn't that we all got smarter. It was that, well, what happened was, yes, achievement across the nation dropped this much. And so now what they're saying is, oh, the average has gotten lower. The average scorer has gotten lower. And because the average scorer has gotten lower on this norm reference curve, if you look at the curve, it makes no difference. 50th is still 50. But when you try to connect this norm reference curve to this criterion reference test, we get this problem. And what's interesting is that we knew it because we kept getting the 61st percentile and going, oh, this is not, it's not the same. So the curve is being curved. We've gotten creative to figure out what we can do with it. We'll talk. This then is our 3rd through 8th grade and 11th grade NWA in the winter. We have 68% of our students who we categorize as basically on grade level or above. We typically say that if you're in the average, you're on grade level. Now, with the new norms, I'm not totally sure that that's true or not. So we're going to have watch the norms for multiple years. But if you're 68 there, then you must be 32% there. And that is in math, and this is in reading. Now, I'm going to kind of dive into nothing being good or bad unless compared to something else. It's hard to compare to old NWA data because it's a different norm. So let's take a breath, kind of look at this and go, yep, I would expect less people to be proficient and advanced in math than in reading because that's what we've seen historically. Okay, check. Okay. However, back in the day, there's an old flashback slide from 2022, I explained to you we always see RIT score or scale score going up, but we see percentile going down. So our growth trajectory of our students on NWA from fall to winter, that's what I'm talking about, start the school year here, grow, get to here, percentiles not keeping up, then spring percentiles pop back up. It could be the order in which we teach because we are teachers as designers, and so we're not following a nationally adopted curriculum that says first teach this, then this, then this, then this. So you get out into winter and your percentile might not be where it wants to be, and then we come around the spring and do better. So percentiles typically go down the spring. These are new norms, so you can compare apples to apples. This is the fall. This is the winter. This is the difference. We're actually seeing slight percentile improvement. So if you look at where our kids were in the fall, in math, with all the math intervention and all the work we're doing, you're starting to see all kids climb the ladder because we're seeing a slight reduction in our 2 lowest tiers, but you're also seeing kids move up, right? Some kids moved up to here, to here, to here, and that's how you got to 21 there. And if somebody moved from here to here, then that means somebody moved from here to here. And these are percentages of percentiles. And so that's interesting. So we're seeing some growth in math. We're also seeing some growth in reading. That's a significant growth change right there. But you're also seeing the climbing of the ladder here because, again, 25 over 23, 29 over 28, 23 over 21, and then reductions here and here. So that means you're having trajectory growth in each quintile. So often we would see growth out of the bottom, bottleneck in the middle, flat at the top. And again, these are not big jumps. I mean, we're talking about 2 points there. But in this particular data, you're actually seeing movement all the way up the ladder. So if I'm high average, I'm maybe moving to high, and if I'm average, I may be moving to high average, as opposed to just moving out of the bottom to the middle. So, for what it's worth, we think some good things are happening. Before I move on out of monitoring NWEA and going into this concept of reporting on CASP predictions, any thoughts, questions, or concerns on NWA? Okay. If it comes to you, it comes to you.
I have one question, sorry.
No, you're good.
I know that the growth model has taken into account the average of the last 5 years. Does the basis on those schools or areas or anything that have taken is that kind of change? So you know how NWA is based on whoever's taking that exam. Now, does that population change drastic, or has there been a drastic I don't know if that's even something that's talked about when you look at it from.
No, I mean, it's a nationally norm reference test. It's
Yeah.
the NWA is a nonprofit, but they're a private entity, and they are utilized by literally tens of thousands of schools. And so, yes, while you might lose 1,000 schools out of this, and you might gain 1,000. So, no, I don't know the numbers of testers, but we are talking about millions of test takers. Yeah, so they've got a good data set for sure.
And you haven't heard of like any mass exodus away from NWA?
No, but I can see why there might be, because we're starting to look at it and go, hey, based on what goals we establish later tonight and what metrics we believe measure said goals, we might say to ourselves, what's the right tool for the job? NWA has always been in our charter because that was the only tool. I mean, in 2005, there wasn't CASP. It was very different. And so this tool was brilliant for us back then. It may not be the tool, and I don't think we'll pick a tool in this room, but I think what we might do is if it's the will of the board, we'll say to our teachers, can we all get in a huddle and be like, how would you measure this thing if you were trying to measure it? Yeah.
I just have
Mrs.
one
Steve.
tiny data question.
Yeah.
Do you remember what percentage of students prior to this change were identified as possibly being a 4 on CASP? Because it's 10% now, and I'm just curious, did that significantly decrease? Do you know what I mean? So it's basically predicting
Tell me where you're getting that 10%. What are you talking about?
the chart. Yes.
This chart?
Yeah, so just looking at level 4, right? It's around 10%, right? On the right?
Looking at level 4.
Percentile. Right?
Looking at percentile. Oh, you're saying the top 10 percentiles.
Yeah, so is that, what did it used to be, 20? I'm just curious because.
Great question, man.
I was just curious about the top ones, if that's drastically reduced.
And, I mean, right, so when you talk about standard deviation on a norm reference test, just get kind of nerdy, right? We know that 2 standard deviations, it takes you up to the 96th percentile, right? So you would, if you were doing gate testing with a gate tool, you would typically say 2 standard deviations from the norm would be your outlier.
Yeah.
That's how you get to the tails, the twin tails, right? 2 standard deviations away from the norm. And so the 96 percentile, I mean, you're getting pretty far out there to this tail when you're talking, you have to be the 90th percentile.
For like quarters, I mean,
that
it's
is
4
interesting.
pieces.
So I don't know, and we can pull the linking study from the previous norms because we obviously have it, and look at that for you. That'd be interesting.
I just thought it was interesting.
It's super nerdy.
And
I love it.
I think it'll also be interesting to see. Sorry, where we go?
Oh, Suzanne, do you know? Or
Yeah.
you?
Well, I was just saying, I think that's why it was linked before. It was saying the 80 percentile and above. When in the quintiles that you were showing, that's what it was supposed to be.
Did it say 80?
Right. Yeah. The blue, if you go to your other one, is the 80 percentile and above. But
This one here?
But California
Oh.
school when we met would be like it's
doesn't
not
align.
lining up.
Got it.
Students weren't doing it. And we
Yeah.
saw the same thing.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying because what's funny is that they have said the 61st percentile is where you meet your expected, but I didn't know that the 80th percentile correlated to their 4th tier. Yeah, so I'll look at that. I think it's great. And I can pull the linking study. I might literally have it somewhere on this computer from the old one. Yeah, that's fun. I love me some data conversation. I'm sorry if anybody's falling asleep. We'll take a cookie break soon. Okay. How you feeling about going forward? You guys good? Okay, I'll try to make this quick, but it's complicated. So that was NWA. How would you use NWA to predict? Look, we used to say, oh, well, 23% and 28%, that's going to make 51%. We think 51% of the kids are going to meet or exceed on CASP. And then when I do the CASP slides, remember I go, California had this many kids meet or exceed. And the district and the county but we no longer inherently look at that data the same way. I don't know that we're currently measuring or have the interest in measuring the percentage of students who met or exceeded, because that's not how you build the dashboard. The dashboard is built on growth, distance from standard, distance from met. You're like, oh my gosh. So we could just go back and do what we've always done and circle this and go, okay, that's theoretically how many kids I think are going to be proficient or advanced. That has nothing to do with growth. So we're like, says we, flashback. Remember these slides about the criterion 2? We said, look, to meet criterion 2 for high track, we have to outperform the state in math, ELA, and LP. Then we have to have 3 out of our 5 student demographic groups historically underrepresented outperform the state in math and ELA. With me? Remember that? And then, like, both have to take place for 2 years in a row. And then we came along and we said, hey, hooray! We outperformed the state, so we are going to be criterion 2 as long as we outperform the state here. And we did, and we said, hooray, we have now outperformed the state and met this achievement. And so we are year 1, criterion 2, and if we do it again, we're going to be high track awarded. Everybody with me? You can stop me if you're like, I don't remember that. You good? Okay, great. So that begets the question. How might we monitor and report on progress toward criterion 2 or these CASP targets? Yep. We called all the smart people. We're like, hey, can you do this? They're like, nope. Like, that is so useful. How much do we send to these people? Don't say it out loud on YouTube. So we're like, okay, you know, our job is to demonstrate what's possible. So we got a little, like, let's goof around. So we took this thing right here, and we said, you can see where I'm going. We're like, well, if you score a 204 to 211, that means on this range, you're like going to score a 2473 to 2532. Are you with me? Say yes? Yes. So then I would just link those together, and I'd create this like, if you're a 204, that's your score. A 205, and that's cool. So this kid scores a 207, which we know to be a 2493. We predict, which we now know that is 25 points over standard. So the distance from Met for that kid is 25. Are you with me? If you're not, I could slow down, but I think you're with me. So you're like, okay, we can construct our own distance from Met. Super cool. Let's do that then. So we did. Then we tried to validate it. You can't validate it this year with these new norms because the norms are new and we don't have the CASP results yet. So we're like, let's go to last year. And we're like, okay, our NWA prediction based on winter data on this new tool that we built says that we think we're going to be a 4.8 in ELA and a negative 23 in math. And what was the actual outcome on CASP? We were a 9.9 and a negative 23.9. And you're like, well, that seems far off. Well, does it? Because the actual range here is 681. There's a variance in the data of 681 data points between the lowest score you could score in CASP and the highest score you could score in CASP. And so being 5 points off, you're like, okay, you know, and it's actually, the range is tighter than that because a third grader can't score more than 2 grade levels below, and so the range tightens up. But even if it's 100, you're like, okay, you're pretty close there. You can at least tell, like, directionality. So then, like, if you knew this last year as a board, you could say, if I thought this was true, you're probably going to beat the state. And if I thought this was true, which was very close to being true, then I think you're going to beat the state. So we built a predictive model. We're like, that's super cool. And then we applied the new norms, and we're like, well, this doesn't make any sense at all because we can't verify whether it's going to work or not. Yeah. But we did use it in an interesting way, and so I will try to interest you with my next 27 slides. We're not super confident in the predictability of the new norms to CASP. However, we can measure internal growth. We can't tell you if this is going to measure to CASP because we haven't seen the new norms compete with or align to CASP. But we can measure internal growth because the norms are apples to apples, fall to winter, which then allows you to do student group growth data. And this is what you get. So in English language arts, we have a baseline in the fall of a negative 3.9, which is weird because that's a positive 9.9 on CASP 3 months earlier, but these are the new norms. I'll show you in a minute. and we grow from the fall on this exact tool, we grow to there. Okay, and you grow in every single area. We can't do socioeconomically disadvantaged because we don't have that data, right? We know who's an English learner or a student with disabilities, but we don't know who is a socioeconomically disadvantaged student because that is CalPADS data, and that is housed above us, and so we don't have access to it. Okay, so I would say measuring growth for English language arts from fall to winter using the prediction calculation we created. Overall, we grew across all student groups, which is pretty cool, actually. Our prediction is that we will grow on CASP in English language arts based on all the data we have. I just can't tell you if we'll meet our targets. We just don't know. It's really a trip. If you use the previous norms, this is an 11.3, not an 11.1. So they're close because they didn't renorm that much. Watch until I go to the next slide, you see math, and you're like, what? It's wild. So, same deal. Math, we grow across the board. We have growth in all. So again, I think we would predict math growth, and it's showing in all of our data. But when you use the previous norms, we're negative 21.9, which is growth from the previous year. So we're grow, except the new norms go because they've renormed the whole thing. So we tried to do something cool. I'm not sure it's done yet, but I wanted to show it to you. Any questions, thoughts, or concerns on that? All right, it's near cookie time. Let's go progress monitoring for LP. 50% of our English learners 1st through 12th grade have made percentile growth. That's good. We're looking for 55% of all English learners to make growth on LP. NWA does not mirror LP really at all, but it's good data because we're talking about percentile growth, which we know is better than RIT score growth. 98% of 1st through 3rd grade students have made growth on both their phonics BPSD skills and their sight words. So again, growth. On average, English learners 1st through 3rd grade made more growth than their English only and reclassified peers. Fall to winter. That was really interesting. That was kind of cool. So some of the interventions, pouring in. High school designated ELD class, 89% final semester 1 pass rate, and semester 2, 100% in progress right now. Look, our prediction for LP is uncertain because we just don't have that LP aligned data. And so really what we're doing right now is we're strategizing on how to create predictability because we got to here and we're like, darn it, I guess we don't have that. And so what we're thinking is future EL progress monitoring plans might include administering the LPAC-focused interim assessment block, the FIABs, but they have EL-focused or LPAC-focused ones, and we do them in the fall and then do them again in January to show a growth. We would see if we're getting growth. That's probably the direction we might go. Questions about LP before I move on to graduation rate? Yeah, there's your graduations, little all there. Okay, let's talk about graduation rate. We're predicting a 97 to 99% graduation rate. All currently enrolled students have either completed graduation requirements or are currently enrolled in graduation requirements. So if all goes well, those kids will graduate. Who might not be included in a graduation rate, right? Students who would not be included would be students who failed to enroll in another organization after they left Westlake Charter High School, which is the definition of a dropout, right? If you leave our school and don't enroll somewhere else, you could be counted as a non-graduate. If you leave the state or the country and end up in a place that doesn't report through CalPADS, most of the western states communicate, but there are places you can go, and there's ways to track down and try to get that information. Oh, did you enroll somewhere in Minnesota? Great, now we know that. So that is part of the work of a high school registrar or high school administrative team to track down kids who have left the state or the country. Leaving the country becomes complex. And then students who earned a certificate of completion. Now, we have 2 alternate diplomas for students with disabilities in our graduation rate. And I could bring tears to your eyes, but I won't because we're going to be taking a break soon. But I just got some stories to tell you about some students who are going to make it to the graduation stage with a traditional diploma and students who are going to make it to the graduation stage with an alternate diploma. And students who are going to potentially make it to the stage with a certificate of completion. And I just tell you, you're doing good work. You're doing work that is not real easily replicatable. So really proud of the work that's being done to meet this graduation rate. That should keep us blue, maybe green, but probably blue on the dashboard. And then we're looking at a 97% college and career readiness indicator, right? Obviously, if you're getting a alternate diploma or a certificate of completion, you're probably not going to be able to meet the college and career readiness indicator. Our competitors in the field are rocking, 70%. Remember, on the 5x5 color scheme, anything over 70% is blue, right? So the fact that we're 97% versus 100%, I think we'll be okay there. Ironically, though, if we go to 97, we might be green because we dropped 3%. We're fine.
Isn't this the one where they scored us low, though?
Yeah, so this is what this indicator means right here, and it says we're collaborating with our district partners to ensure that we are accurately reporting that our 97% of our students have met CCNI, because last year we had 82%, and we're like, how is that possible? And there was a data reporting error that was made in collaboration with our partner organization, and this year we're just going to make sure that that error doesn't happen. Yeah. Very good. Questions, thoughts, or concerns on the entire academic report?
I do have a question.
Oh,
which
please.
I wrote down way at the beginning, and I don't know that it fits really anywhere. I was just wondering whether our 4x4 block schedule in high school, whether we know or whether we can know, whether that affects our test scores. Like, for instance, if you have a student who was a first semester mather, and then they've forgotten or out of practice by the time they're taking CASP, or you have a second semester mather who they haven't taught all of the goals yet, and so they.
Yeah, it's great because your question is really on point. For those of you who aren't aware, the CASP test is taken after 85% of the school year has transpired, and so we would assume then that you would have met 85% of the standards, which if you started in August and got to April, 85% of the school year, right? But if you started in January and got to April, what's that look like? The math team over at the high school does phenomenal work utilizing Flexbox to make sure kids are getting the gaps filled where they need them when they need them. It would be a cool study to say Sean was a fall math, well, you're a junior. So Sean was a fall math 3 student. Katie was I guess you'd be groups. This group of fall students and this group of spring students, that would be an interesting case study. Secondarily, you could look at just 11th grade in general and say, how are they doing? And
For ELA too.
Yeah, true. And I think you would surmise that because we only test in 11th grade, it's in part because we're assuming we're testing for 9, 10, and 11. And so that really you're not talking about the 85% of the progress through the 11th grade year, but you're like, hey, we're testing. Did you pick up math 1 and 2 on your way to math 3? The real the super math nerds are like, hey, you want to increase your get everybody to nail math to completion, completely done before their 11th grade year. And you're like, well, we're kind of crushing it on that. But some kids are still in math 2 as a 11th grader, and if you can complete math 3, then you're like home run. So yeah, your fall kids may be more prepared than your spring kids. It's a good question. I'd love to see a nerdy study. Actually, let's write that down because I'm always looking for a spreadsheet to build. You got that? Yeah, it might be fun. That'd be cool. Could be a cool study, a little quantitative analysis. Good. Any other questions about academics? All right. Well, Board President Golick, you have the floor.
Do you mind if we work through our action items before we take a break?
Yeah, it is your show. I'm just here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any public comments?
No.
Okay. So next on the agenda is the consent agenda, items A through I. I just want to note that the governance committee did approve and recommend for adoption items H and I. However, we do still have some ministerial changes to make, just some basic cleanup. The bulk of the policies, no shalls are changing. But we want to make sure that the whole board was aware that we do have some cleanup to go through and do, but we would still ask for you to approve these policies tonight. And we're all happy to answer any questions you might have on items A through I. And if there are no questions
the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Hope? Yes. Sean?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Satveer?
Yes.
Amber?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nurali?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. And that brings us to our other action item tonight, the second interim budget.
I'm trying to find the slides. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Oh, I gotta scroll all the way back. Oh, there's a few slides there. Oh yeah. See, 119 wasn't all mine. You were in. You got 3
I
slides.
was like, yeah, 6, right?
All right. Take it away, Mr. Corbin.
All right. So we'll take a look at the second interim budget tonight. We've seen this slide a couple times before. This slide in particular, the green highlighted area, just talks about what the second interim is. So second interim is everything from July 1st all the way through the end of January. It's the second kind of benchmark in the budget year, if you will. And everything's updated from, again, the 1st of July all the way through the end of January in terms of revenues, expenses, enrollment, attendance, all that kind of good stuff. So we are right in tune with where we need to be. And it needs to be approved by the board by mid-March. So again, we're right where we need to be on that piece as well. So what is in the budget? So again, all the revenues are updated. Interest information is in there. Interest revenue is in there. Wave revenue is in there. Updated base revenue is also included in that budget. Updated revenue figures from school services, from our SELPA, from the district. All of that information kind of rolls into the budget. Also included are the updated projections from the governor's January proposal. So you recall last meeting, the governor kind of reduced the COLA in out years, so those are built into the second interim budget and the multi-year projections. So all those pieces kind of get built into the second interim and then the multi-year projections as well. So looking at the revenue side of the house, ADA, again, we talked about average daily attendance a little bit, and attendance, so we are keeping flat at 94%, even though this current year we're trending a little bit higher, which is great news. We're kind of sticking with that 94%. It's a little bit conservative. If we get a few years under the belt where we're seeing a little bit higher attendance rate, we might be able to tick it up a little bit. But it's better to come in a little bit over at year end than a little bit under. So again, we're sticking at 94% right now, and the current year and out years. Enrollment has also been updated. There's a slight decrease to the per pupil LCFF funding, only because the total enrollment for the school has gone from a 1490 at budget adoption down to 1480. So again, just a slight per pupil reduction on that. And then we take a look at supply and field lesson donations throughout the year. They're running a little bit light currently. Some grade levels are crushing it. I think you've got kindergarten who's like, 238%, right? Because, the kinder parents come in happy. And we buy so much with, these types of supply donations, everything from pencils to, unicorn sticky notes, you name it, we buy it. And the field lessons come in super strong. 6th grade has a really big field lesson coming in, so I'm sure we'll get some donations coming in. At 8th grade, it's got Santa Cruz coming as well. So again, those continue to come in throughout the year, but again, running as we have over the past couple of years, it's a little bit lighter right now. On the expenditure side of the house, the staff bonuses that were approved by the board a couple months ago are now fully reflected in this budget. We've seen some overtime costs for staff also included in this budget as well. And then we use a substitute service called Swing, and then they're also included in this budget. Cal PERS and STIRS contribution rates, thankfully, for Cal STIRS are flat at the moment, and Cal PERS are anticipated to come down in out years. So those will save us a little bit, but again, there's still a percentage that we pay to those agencies as the pension system for all of our employees. So this is just the kind of color-coded how the money comes in. And so from a revenue or income standpoint, you see the large majority comes from the LCFF, or the local control funding formula. And then the education protection account, again, it's all really state funding. Very little comes from the federal government. And then if you look the next piece, where does the money go? Probably not shocking. Most of it goes towards staff. About 78% goes towards staff salary and benefits. The larger orange slice, it's kind of coded as services. That's folks like Law and Order that we talked about earlier, and some of the service providers that we use that aren't necessarily staff, but provide services to the school that aren't captured under kind of on payroll staff. And then this is the budget itself. Again, it's a solid budget for second interim. So not only is the current second year interim budget solid, but also the multi-years look good as well. Finance approved the budget a couple weeks ago. So again, I would just look for approval this evening. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'll move the second interim budget.
I'll second.
Hope,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Satveer,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
Nurali,
Yes.
Katie.
Yes.
Your presentation was shorter than mine. I had the timer going.
Just wait till we get to the LCAP.
Oh, you like a bag of popcorn? Yeah, okay.
I know there was the enticement of a break, but it's 8:18, so can we are we okay if we keep going?
I can just walk them around the room if you want.
I can do it so you guys can listen.
Okay.
Cookie would be nice.
Bring them around. Yes, of course.
Sorry.
Sure. Yeah, I'm
8:18.
drinking coffee. I'll be up all night. Can you
Mentioned
hand out
them
these?
10 times.
Right.
Really wants a cookie.
The
is what he's
promise of
trying to
cookie was
say.
happening. Okay, keep one. Thank you. I got it. One go.
Oh, and look, that was perfect.
Oh, this isn't the worksheet. This is the worksheet.
This too.
Mop. Thank you. Hey, Keegan, can you send these ones across too? These are the, this is,
I could use a walk.
we did.
I think they're not in here.
Oh, they're just.
You need help? Ada, what do you need?
No, she needs napkins.
She said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Keegan, will you help me? No, thank you.
Here, give me this.
I think she's using the restroom.
Wait, no, give me those. I'll finish handing those out.
I'm standing here with my hand. No, go ahead.
For those of you on YouTube, what you're witnessing is not us taking a break. This is what happens when you don't schedule the break. You end up on napkin runs.
And then I wasn't quite sure.
I can't remember what I ordered, so.
Sure.
Don't know what they are.
I know, but
I know that this is some kind of.
it's fancy. Very
A
fancy.
tissue.
I'm a very basic chocolate.
Hi.
Hi.
What do you got there? You got cookies? I'll take a cookie.
Okay.
Thank you.
The fancy ones?
I don't really know what that, I don't know what I've done there. Thank you. Shoo-doo, 6.
Really salmon, but. I listened to How I Built This by Guy Raz. It's my favorite thing to watch. And you listen to my favorite podcast. I just love his voice. The random cookie things, the random things I learned from him.
Okay. Nudge me if you want me to go.
Oh, I do.
All right.
But Katie's not back yet, so I feel like.
She will be.
Yeah.
And we'll all be, better off for it. Okay, team. Thank you for playing along. Hopefully you got a cookie. Thanks, A-Dub, for the cookies. So, I would just,
Thank you, though.
you're the one that nudged me. Yeah.
She was asking me a question. I know.
I know you saw this in the packet, so you're familiar with this and have probably already processed this, already have some notes and thoughts on it. And so I think for the next 30 minutes, what we're going to do is follow on this worksheet, kind of like the methodology by which we will walk through the work tonight. So I have some slides that I'll walk you through. The slides are pretty short, but the work is long. So let's scroll to the right place. I could do academic report again, maybe. Slides 106. There we go. Thank you. Great. So your worksheet kind of mirrors this. First of all, I just want to lay out from a strategic planning standpoint, we have all the building blocks we need to produce a high-quality strategic plan. We have really clear data that's representative of our constituents. We have discussed at our last board meeting, this layout and this framework that includes values and commitments, which will be kind of the glows. What's working well in the organization, and the next part will be grows. One thing I want to point your attention to on the screen is, in reviewing the 2019 strategic plan, it dawns on me that we've discovered that many of the 2019 goals and objectives should really live on as values and commitments. And my best example, I think Josh refers to it all the time, Steve refers to it all the time, and it's this one right here. It's goal 1, objective 3. WCS will stay nimble and flexible and continuously seek innovative ways. So that's not so much an objective that's measurable in the next plan, but it will definitively come back as a commitment or a value. Does that make sense? So we're combing through the 2019 right now and saying, what can we pull forward to make sure we don't lose our history and our identifiers that describe who we are? Does that make sense? So as we get to the next version of this plan, you'll have that. And last piece is that we have synthesized goals, actions, progress monitoring metrics to demonstrate opportunities to grow. So I think we have ways to tell what are our glows and what are our grows, and that's where we arrived at today. So the next steps are work toward agreement on the goals, actions, and progress monitoring. Then by next month, assemble version 1 of the whole thing and really get into editing, scratching, wordsmithing, and then final edits and iterative work until we approve and publish in June. That's where we're at. I feel like we're on pace. I know it's late, but I appreciate your leaning in tonight. Because tonight, I'd like us to workshop the 4 goals. And on the screen, it's going to tell you, if we focus on the purpose and get clarity on the purpose of each goal, then we can edit the linguistics to match our agreement later. So tonight, I don't want to have discussions around, oh, I prefer this word be that word. I want to hear about, like, I think the purpose of this goal should be for us to achieve X, right? So, like, I've had a discussion regarding the word consider redesigning our approach to full inclusion. I don't know if I appreciate the word consider versus, like, ensure. We can kind of get to that later. Tonight, we want to decide, is that the right work? Does that make sense? Because I know we can get caught up for hours in linguistics. I don't want to get there just yet. Next, we're going to workshop the 4 progress monitoring metrics. And what we're going to do first is we're going to do goals and metrics together at one time. So you're going to see on page 1 your thoughts around goals and metrics and for goal 1, goal 2, goal 3, goal 4. When we get to the metrics part, I think it's really important that, like, we have tried to articulate some potential metrics, but the goals you've seen before somewhat. The metrics you really haven't, so they're very loose right now. So I need feedback, and here's why. I alluded to it tonight in our academic plan. Metrics mean that we measure what matters. So be careful what we write as a metric, because you'll steer the whole organization toward that metric. So if you're heavily creating metrics that measure student quantitative outcomes and don't say, hey, how can we measure that joyful learning piece? We might steer the organization in the wrong direction. Does that make sense? Next, we're going to workshop the current actions. We're just going to ask this. Are they the right actions to meet the goals? Do you need more clarity on any action? Do you already have clarity on an action and you want that action adjusted or changed because you don't think it's the right action? So we're going to talk about actions. And then the final step is what's missing. The very last page of your worksheet here is the what's missing box. If you've already come into tonight and been like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe there's not a strategic goal around chicken nuggets. You just write it down right now. And then through the workshop tonight, at some point, if we work chicken nuggets into the show, by the end you can scratch that out. Does that make sense? So if you came in with what's missing already, start scribbling it down. If you write chicken nuggets, you're in super trouble. Don't you dare.
Now all I can think about are chicken nuggets.
I know. Yeah, I can see it on your face. So with that said, I mean, the rest of this workshop is your voice, not mine, because we've heard me a lot tonight. And so let's start with goal area 1. WCS staff recruitment, we got the word recruitment in there, development and retention. WCS will build and sustain the conditions that make Westlake a place where talented people choose to stay, investing in competitive compensation, fostering innovation, and cultivating a culture where every staff member feels safe, valued, supported, and proud of of the work they do. The question is does the purpose of this goal meet the needs of the organization currently? And we'll talk about the monitoring next. So let's just talk about that goal. I know I scared you away from linguistics, but if there's a word that pops and you're like, but that word doesn't make sense, that words are okay to be talked about. Talk to me as you read through this over the duration of the week. How did goal 1 resonate with you? Does it have purpose? Okay.
A lot more, considering what happened this week around us, right? The recruitment, development, retention is huge, and especially that competitive compensation part definitely meets, what we want to be here at Westlake.
Says a finance team member who's been grappling with the compensation. Thank you, finance team, for grappling with that for us on our behalf. Yeah, okay. Yeah, agreed. I mean, we see lots of evidence that if you don't do this well, it's bad for organizations. Any other thoughts on it? Does it matter to you whether or not the purpose is to measure value, people, the way people feel? Does that matter? I mean, is it just about recruiting people with credentials and skills and good resumes, or is it about creating some of these affective pieces down here? The reason I ask is because we're going to get over to metrics, and I put in metrics like annual, optional, or voluntary staff surveys, and then we're going to get into like, hey, staff satisfaction, how you feeling? So does this feel like the right set of values? Is there anything missing in those value sets? Okay. I took this to K-8 leadership on Monday. I'm taking it to high school leadership on this next Monday, and I'd love to get their opinion as well. All right, so let's talk about the metrics. I mean, you have it on your piece of paper if you want to flip to it, but there's a concept floating around right now about an annual voluntary staff retention survey. Oh no, sorry, this isn't the survey. My bad. Annual voluntary staff retention. What this means is we're going to exclude attrition from like retirement, life circumstances, non-renewal. So creating a little dashboard that says, hey, 7 people left, 2 of them retired, and 1 of them moved to Alaska. Are we all okay saying that, okay, that means out of the 7, only 4 of them were relievers. They went to Roseville, Elk Grove, and Woodland. That makes sense, right? So we get a quantitative piece there. But are we going to put a number on that? Hope's like, no.
Well, no, because by example, one of Twin Rivers' goals, which we learned this week.
95%?
95%.
Yeah.
And it would be fabulous.
Love it.
To have 95%. But it's not a goal. And I like how annual voluntary staff retention is written, because that 95% number doesn't take into account the people who are leaving for those reasons.
Sure.
And so John taught me very early on not to set goals I have no control over.
True.
Right? You don't say I want to be 6 feet tall, because that's not in your domain.
Yeah,
and so I like the the way this is written, because it allows for natural conditions to take place.
All right, Matt, go ahead. Houston, go ahead.
So as a way to measure, then maybe it would be trends.
Yeah, because it's annual. So I think and I think the question later is, if you engage in these actions, is that thing going to start trending better? Hey, we lost 7 teachers this year. Oh, we lost 4 the next year. Oh, we lost 4. Like maybe.
And then along with the exit interviews, right?
Yeah,
So this is going to be multiple
and so I like this
surveys.
I like this piece, and I'm telling you guys, I feel so well informed by staff surveys for strat plan and staff focus groups that I'm like, we shouldn't wait another 5 to 7 years to ask people how things are going. Yeah. So I think this annual voluntarily, but this kind of like this, the family survey, asking the same questions every year so that you can see trends.
I think all of those are going to then, this is one big piece of data, right? Because you can even figure out why maybe people aren't doing professional development.
Yeah.
It all kind of loops together.
And I put that in there, and I have a lot of control over that. So I don't know if it's the right metric, but I mean, we are talking about development. So like, there is recruit high quality people, retain the amazing people you have, make sure people are growing because right? But what other metrics do you want to see in there? A little part of me wanted to put in this right here, how many people are moving over on the columns? Because every intent to return, I'm like, okay, where are you at on the salary schedule? Why aren't you in column 5? That's where you need to be to get all the, so like, is that data we want too?
I feel like you've covered kind of two pieces, which I appreciate by this. You have the more numerical data, which is professional development hours. I mean, you kind of have to look at some of those raw numbers. You look at, don't love percentages for annual volunteer, but whether you're looking at trends, but just looking at that as a whole number. The exit interviews and the staff survey really help with the second part of our goal, in my opinion, which is understanding where if every staff member feels safe, valued, supported, those should help explain the trends we view in our numerical changes. If you don't see people changing a lot of staff salary, class changes, or we don't have that many hours of professional, we've added more, maybe people are starting to feel more supportive. I would think you need one to get to the other. It's kind of my whole thought about this, and you've really covered it from a wide range. I mean, to really put in that class change, I thought was a smart.
And it may be too many things. Here's the problem, right? Because when you're writing the strat plan, you're like, we're to measure all these things. Then the rest of my life, all I'm doing is measuring things, And but yeah, I think we're gonna have to build what looks like this monitoring system, and then give ourselves a may versus shall opportunity to say, hey, let's workshop this for a couple years and see how it goes. Just putting that out there. Because right now, our monitoring tools for our current strategic plan aren't this robust. And by building a robust system, you measure what matters. But so far we're okay with all these. We'll build them out. We'll kind of bring them back. We'll look at them more flushed out. Is anything missing? Hope?
My wonder, because you added recruitment, which I appreciate.
For you.
Is how does any of this measure recruitment? And by using recruitment,
well, it doesn't.
what
I
do we
just
mean
added
by that?
the words. I
No,
just
I know. That's why I started with
No, and
I appreciate it.
even this preamble doesn't really touch recruitment. It just doesn't, And I think you'll have to go back to the board and say, the drawing board, and say, we're trying to recruit people who want to behave this way, people who want to get involved in this type of organization, and then you would see that maybe down here.
No, I know. It's a wonder. Like, as we continue to look at this, is there a way to so it's not like you alluded to it earlier.
Fully staffed versus.
Well, and it's not just any staff, right? It's not like we're not just filling the seat. We're hoping to fill the seat with someone who shares our missions and values and.
That's the problem with the quantitative measure of recruitment. You're like, great, we're fully staffed, but what are you really looking for? I want 40 Katie Sanchez's, not a bunch of John Ikes out there trying to figure it out.
Well, maybe staff staying tells you that, right? Or the number of non-renewals maybe tells you that. I just don't. Yeah. I want to make sure we're clear as to what measures we're using.
So let's put on a note, though, that we should bring back a recruitment measurement tool. Sean?
I wonder if there's a data point in there looking at if you recruit people, like any people who are leaving, how long have they been here?
Ooh, that's an interesting data point.
That's a good idea.
If they're people you recruited and then they peace out quickly.
So rather than retention being a metric of how many people leave this year, retention is how long has Katie been here versus how long has Susanna been here, and so you're like, ooh, that's an interesting piece.
Right, it's not just who came, but like sort of how long are they then staying?
Right.
Like longevity.
Did we recruit people who then wanted
to stay?
Right, it's the
it speaks to
opposite of
onboarding and all these different things, man. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. It's the
all
yin
right.
to the yang.
We'll scratch on that. Yeah, it's an interesting playbook.
Oh, question.
Yeah, Cypher.
About measuring recruitment, doesn't salary measure recruiting in a sense where are we offering competitive salaries to get teachers in?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it is one of the 10 actions that we have identified as possibly helping with recruitment, development, retention. But dude, I have talked to teachers who are like, hey, you know what? If we don't fix behavior and special education reform, but I don't care what you pay me.
Right.
And I hear it on the news tonight from our neighboring districts. It's about pay, but it's about conditions. And so, yeah, it's an interesting one. So so what you're saying though is you want a metric in there that says utilize the comparison matrix annually to ensure comparability across the competitiveness. Yeah, and I think down here in I think the word competitive is in here in that action. So yeah.
And I know we don't want to set a goal because that's going to be definitely hard, and we don't want to be like Twin Rivers. But can we have an expectation to retain X amount of staff every year, or is that too similar to goal?
We've done it. I mean, our last strat plan had, beat the national average. Just problem is the national average has changed dramatically post-pandemic, which is what you also hear in the news right now. I mean, you hear Natomas Unified's team saying, hey, we lost over 100 teachers per year for the last 3 years. Recruitment is a national epidemic. And we've been saying in this boardroom that there's a national teacher shortage. We've said that for years here. So I think you could set a number. You just have to be really intentional about saying that number. Dr. Galway, who works with me on this project and works with me on 1,000 other projects, when she wrote her dissertation, and you should read it, it's brilliant, it talks about this. And it really talks about teacher retention from this concept of movers, I'm moving from school A to school B, and leavers, people leaving the industry, and stayers, movers, and leavers. And there's all this scholarly research, and it is so much more complicated than you think, because someone tells you they're a mover, but they're really a leaver. Someone tells you they're a leaver, they're really a mover. And so the national data on this lags multiple years behind. And so you think, hey, we're targeting 10%, and the real number's 18%, you just don't know it. So yeah, should we have a quantitative goal? I'm all in, but we got to get, maybe me and you sit and do some scholarly research on how to create that metric. Yeah.
So for my work, we recently went through strategic planning about a year ago, and we had a consultant come in who said, and she just works with boards, and she said she recommends people don't put quantitative numbers like that because of the changing, COVID, right?
Yeah, man.
She's like, everybody failed. Did they fail? No, actually, when you looked at the circumstances, they had growth, things were, so we pulled a lot of our big number goals off, and it was more about growth and about trends and the things we're talking about versus we have to be at this number because it doesn't take into account life.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. And I think if you go after value, safety, feeling supported, you're going to get better numbers. And I wonder how that all. I mean, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I love it. Anything else missing from this topic? Move on to topic 2. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Student growth. Westlake Charter School will define, blueprint, and deliver on its promise of growth for every student. We will work to ensure joyful, challenging, and personalized learning experiences as the guaranteed standard. At one point said, the guaranteed viable curriculum. Everybody's like, we have no idea what that means. That's such edu-speak. And personalized learning experiences as the guaranteed standard that prepares each explorer to thrive academically and socially. Kind of tooled around with an alignment to the graduate profile in there. So that's on the table a little bit too. Does this speak to you as having the appropriate purpose? If you meet this, is this what we're here to do? Sure, I got some nods, yeah. Then maybe what's more important is how to measure it. inside there, well, I'll read our thing there, but everybody okay with me to jump to metrics? Are we there? Yeah, please.
And it's about a word, so.
That's what I have too.
I know, I'm sorry. Go ahead and do words, you're fine.
Yes, it's the same word.
Because words have meaning, and I'm talking about purpose,
Yes.
and purposes meanings. Go ahead.
It's the same word.
I just didn't want to get.
Blueprint, I guess we both would like more clarity on, I was like, oh, that probably means define. No, it said define before blueprint, so what does blueprint
Yeah,
mean?
it means codify. Should I change it with that word?
It's
Just
like
kidding.
the scaffolding.
No, it's writing it down. Here's the thing. It is literally building a roadmap for the next generation of us to say this is what we do and how we do it.
It's an instruction plan.
Yeah, it's replication, because Jed Wallace keeps calling. And it is, we're intentionally complex. We love us some complexity. We don't give everybody just curriculum, because then our blueprint would be like, start on page 1, finish on page 100 by the end of the year. But here we're like, hey, we want you to utilize these types of instructional practices. GLAD at these grade levels, we think does this, and then link, here's the training that we built to ensure you can do that. And so you would be blueprinting this school by saying, what do we intentionally define? What is the promise of growth? What creates growth? What are the practices? So you would include in there things like, do field lessons matter? Is that part of the blueprint? Or is that just kind of a cute thing we do for $189,000 a year? Right? So like if field lessons matter, then define, what is your philosophy regarding field lessons? Codify, blueprint, create a memo, do something that says this is why and how we do these vertically aligned field lessons, and then make that the promise that our kids, by the time they get to 8th grade, will have gone off campus in these particular manners to create these. So you're like, you're blueprinting your curriculum. You're assembling your curriculum. So we have a blueprint that we built out of the last strategic plan, 2019. We built it for this same purpose. It was a PDF, and then a pandemic hit, and it was supposed to be a living document, and it just died. And now you read it, you're like, well, yes, that describes GLAD in one paragraph. That's not enough. Because if I give it to a new teacher, she's like, thanks for the paragraph. I now need 12 to 25 hours of training to execute on that. And that's what I think this next thing does, is define it, blueprint it, and then figure out how to deliver it. Yeah. So I think math curriculum, K-5, definitively has changed from the previous set of promises, right? I mean, seeking my 3rd grade teacher friend, like, I think like 7 years ago, you were told to like cobble together curriculum as a designer, and I think we're starting to say, hold on, if we've adopted this way of doing math, we should say that's what we do, this is how we do it, and how will we make sure that we're able to deliver on it, and that would be building the appropriate professional learning and things like that aligned to it. Does that make sense? And I think it's a lot of teachers in rooms, you know, getting paid to like, as leaders, to put this thing together over a long period of years. Last time we built the blueprint with like 6 of us in a very short amount of time, and now we realize, nope, this is over the duration of this strat plan. And if you hear me describing it and you're like, I got a way better word than blueprint, help me, because I've also kind of not married to the word blueprint. I've been grappling with like, what else do you call it?
We're not supposed to go down the words right now, but I'm like, I
Right.
can't help it now. Like, well, we're kind of publishing what we do, but that doesn't quite fit. So I get it. It's hard to explain.
Right. Document, yeah.
You want to make it usable, right? It's like you need it. It's like the historical record.
Right. And so if you did this, if you codified these promises, you would hope that they would ensure these types of things, and we don't have to get into words, but I'm wondering if these are the right things, because we want to not lose joyful learning, high engagement, but we want rigor. We want to make sure challenge is appropriate. And so putting these words in here matter, and this thing still seems to matter. right? Okay. We go over here. So obviously we have this California dashboard, year-to-year improvement, growth scores in ELA and mathematics. We could target criterion 2. We could target dashboard color dials, or we could just use the word growth. I don't know.
Can we look at, we talked about the various different tiered 1, 2, 3 and students in various different programs. Is there a way we can measure students that go from needing tier 2 support down to tier 1? I feel like that's such unique work we do, and like somehow how we could, I don't know if it's just, numbers associated here, but somehow incorporate that.
It's so fluid. This is the thing, man. It's so fluid. I mean, you might have to hire somebody just to do that. It's wild, but I mean, this kid's, because we have these jagged profile concepts, and what that means to us is that, like, I'm a tier 2 student I need tier 2 support for my reading, but I'm actually like crushing it in math, and then like, but I'm also an English learner. So I'm on.
It's too hard.
It'd be a fun little thing to noodle on if we got specific, maybe, and workshopped what it is we were trying to do.
Okay.
What are we trying to measure? Because you measure what matters.
I just feel like the dashboard, while it's showing some growth, and I know the intention is for the dashboard to move as a result of all these interventions, I get it does, climb up to that. Maybe it's just providing those services. I don't know. I gotta sit on this a little bit.
Maybe we're maybe we're calculating case management totals. How many kids are case managed by a MTSS TOSA or a ed specialist?
It's just a lot of growth that's being done that isn't just on the dashboard. I mean, to me, it doesn't cover what
I'm looking for. Okay, so what I heard you say is we are. I'm saying this out loud so that I'm capturing the notes. But what I heard you say is I'm looking for more academic growth metrics that aren't specifically dashboard, but also help us celebrate really the rigorous tiered work we're doing.
Yes.
How do we recognize this work we're doing?
Because I do think it leads to student. I mean, it's really impacting on the delivery and the promise of these students growing.
Didn't Katie Davis present on that before?
She did do a presentation a few years ago.
Pretty positive she came in and said, here's things that we implement. Was it Jen? I'm sorry.
It might have been Davis, 100%.
No, I think it was Jen.
And I thought she said, here's new, she named them. I think one of them was probably just for words.
Oh,
that
yeah,
we came up
interventions,
with.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'm just trying to, I can't remember what she called them. It might have been interventions. And then she actually said, here's the number of students we saw have growth. I think that was an extraordinary amount of work put into it, so that is a...
There's another part of this year where, I showed you tonight the massive amount of intervention we do. None of those are for gifted students. So you're bending you are pouring a ton of money into supporting students who are struggling academically, which is part of our charter. We're closing the achievement gap. That's what criterion 2 means. But none of that's going to like taking the kid who's at level 3 and pushing him to level 4, or taking a level 4 and taking him out to space. And so I think there's maybe something in there. If I were going to go into this and go after,
and that is about what you're saying, is the measurements are going to drive what we do.
Right.
So then we'll just become focused on
California dashboard.
what we've already had some feedback on.
Yeah. So I mean, let's go. Let me and my team go scratch on non-dashboard growth metrics, and let's play and see if we can get into the how are we growing across all spectrum. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the feedback. That's real good.
I mean, sorry. For me, it's like, how do we measure challenging?
Yeah, that's
I mean, just to capture the question.
it's a great rigor piece, man. I mean, as we talk about rigor, yeah, I love that.
Because that's part of the personalized, right?
That's 100% part of personalized. Yeah.
At each.
Yeah. Well, we talk about tier 2 supports. Mostly we're talking about students who are not responding to tier 1 universal, but like a gifted student is also tier 2, tier 3. They need something different because they need enrichment expansion because they're ready for that. Right? You've got a third grade reading at the 8th grade level. You're like, I gotta give this kid more.
There's also all the students in the middle, and I think that's what we've talked about before, is where's the, showing the growth of the students that are not on.
And dashboard doesn't do a great job of that. Yeah. I'll pull some dashboard growth metric pieces too. Katie?
My initial thought was just going back to like NWEA because all of our students take it. But if that's something as a school that we're reconsidering.
I think we're just wondering about its viability or usefulness. But if it does produce something that really shows this growth metric, or if we're asking ourselves to investigate other platforms that demonstrate growth in a very easily producible way, yeah, that's interesting.
I think a side note that we had said was like kindergartners, first graders, and second graders are also taking the NWEA.
True.
So like that's something that everyone is doing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and we only report 3, 8, and 11, and because it aligns to CASP. If I could do another 27 slides, I'll do. Yeah, I should probably bring in the K2 is a good point. Breadth of field lessons offered. Some of you sent me some feedback like, what? But I just don't know how else to get at, like, at one point I put, like, percentage of students who attended field lessons because I was trying to brag that we're going to hit 100% every time. And I know schools regionally that are like, oh, you're not going on the field lesson because your behavior, you can't go because your mom didn't donate. You know, and so I kind of like the metric of like, what percentage of your kids go on field lessons? That would be 100. But that's just me being petty. So I changed it to like breadth of field lessons offered. Is it part of our guaranteed, continuum? I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. I mean, you all read this. I don't have to read it to you. Did you come in with any thoughts on what doesn't fit?
How do you measure breadth? Are we just vibing here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it means, but I think it needs, if that's going to be something that you're measuring, you have to be able to measure it. Or if you're trying to report it, there has to be a way to.
I think what I was really thinking about there was a list. Hey, look, this is our vertically aligned list of field lessons. And as you look at it, you're like, wow, look at those opportunities.
And as we talk about what those around us are doing, we're doing a lot more breadth-wise.
Yeah, and if you include things like on camp, a touch of understanding and our relationship with Jibe and the things that you can start to stack up. Maybe it's not field lessons. Maybe it's like
opportunities,
non-instructional enrichments, like a list of like what are all the joyful things that are happening outside of Tier 1 instruction.
Missoula, I think about.
Missoula might be.
That's a really good idea. Like I have a third grader who next year is like, I get to do a touch of understanding.
Oh, I can't wait to do a touch of. Honestly, at some point, dissecting squids is like, oh, we're gonna be dissecting squids, which is an in-class activity, but they're these milestones. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe we're charting the milestones of our guaranteed viable curriculum or experiences that create this joyful piece. Maybe.
Well, people always wonder what joyful means. Like, when we used to talk about it at conferences and whatnot, like, what is joyful learning? Why do we have that?
Yep.
So, whether it's field lessons, enrichments, what we're trying to do is measure those activities that are sort of intended to bring joy into
the learning experience.
Yeah, and I think if you did something like that and then had to budgetarily cut half of them, the next metric would be like, hey, how do you feel about school? Because this is on the California Healthy Kids Survey. I feel close to the people that, oh my God, my eyeballs are.
I think it's the one.
Thank you so much. I'm like, what is that saying? I can't see. Yeah, so anyway, I feel close to people at school. I'm happy to be at school. I feel like I'm part of this school. Teachers treat students fairly. These are all questions from the California Healthy Kids Survey, which is a massive survey. And if we just took these 5 questions and every year said, this is how it goes. Again, we're not trying to meet some target. We're annualizing this data and going, does this data trend better or worse when we adjust other things in our... Yeah, hey, we cut Missoula, and all of a sudden the data goes down. We're like, hey, that might have been maybe. I just wanted to get some of this, like, how do you feel? Because I think challenging sometimes comes from the quantitative outcomes. And then this is the academic portion of the California Healthy Kids. It's like, hey, I try hard. I'm interested. And some of these could be mirrored in our own local survey, but because we take the California Healthy Kids, I thought we would use that. Some of the teachers in K-8 leadership were like, it'd be cool to have it for every grade level, because I want it for my grade level. And I thought, okay, you could do an internal metric.
One thing I wanted to, and I was trying to figure out if it may not be just, it sounds more appropriate here, but for the high school, I think sports are a really big thing when we talk about social.
Yeah.
And we offer opportunities in middle school too, just a little different. It's just.
I wonder if some of that's going to come out here instead.
Yeah.
On goal 3.
I was
maybe?
thinking that a little bit.
Maybe, and maybe the field lessons goes over there. I don't. Yeah.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
We turn them into enrichment opportunities. It's a very similar vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I do see how it can step away from. It still falls in growth because I do think that's the joyful part of learning, to be part of a team, to grow from wherever you are in university.
That's how you engage. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got to sit on that.
So I'm very cognizant of time. I realize we've gone late tonight. So I'm trying to get you to talk so that I have notes to take with me. So I'm going to talk less. You did your homework and readings. You came in with ideas, and you know the dialogue we've had on goals 1 and 2. So I'm just going to ask you, where are you at on goal 3? What do you got?
I think something about measuring parent involvement when we talk about where everyone feels supported, heard, and celebrated.
It's just that it's that.
I know we talk about family survey.
It's what's right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But okay. So maybe you're weaving in because the thriving organizational culture includes staff culture and family culture. We separated them, but maybe you're saying they need both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whoops, I went the wrong one.
Absenteeism jumped out at me as being part of goal 3 and not part of goal 2, because I feel like chronic absenteeism is also a measure of engagement of our students.
Oh, absolutely.
So for me, it felt like that piece maybe fell under 2 goal areas.
Okay.
And I was kind of wondering how to differentiate the staff focus groups versus the survey, kind of what the difference is there. Because focus groups are here, so is it going to be on very specific?
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so the
why wouldn't you
survey's
just
under
use
one.
Why wouldn't you just use the survey metric on both? Yeah.
I just am like trying to,
Yeah,
they're both.
Yeah, and I had such a powerful affect of sitting in a room with people and collecting that real conversational data, and the surveys you can kind of do quickly. Maybe you do push both and just go, hey, we're doing a survey that meets both needs, possibly.
Well, could it also be a commitment, like you're going to do the survey, but if there were issues or things you needed to dive in deeper on?
So when
like
necessary.
A commitment to do focus groups when dictated by data.
In time, or what would you call that? In response, or
In response.
To show that you're hearing, like if you're hearing the concerns, you need more information to address them than a focus group.
I had this noodle about student annual focus group that you should always just be asking students, hey.
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah, what's up? And then what technology you using this month? What's replacing TikTok? Like this idea of just getting in a room with people once a year and asking. But I think it may be aspirational.
Dr. Ike?
Yes, sir.
I don't, because we have the 4 goals and looking through them, I didn't see anything about student behavior, right? In regards to absenteeism or anything like that, but like discipline.
Yeah.
If we do have any suspensions and our issues, would that fall under goal 3? Or?
Well, I think that organizational culture, staff retention, I think that student growth, and our partnership with families all touch that, and I think that is our number 1 action on the action list. So my premise is that if we really went after student behavior as an action, it would touch all 4 areas. So I think these metrics, I genuinely, and I'm saying this because I'm telling you this is what we're doing, I genuinely think if we invest deeply in the next year in nothing else but like building appropriate systems of producing student behavior, and I could bore you with all the reading I'm doing, I genuinely think if you did that, you would see every one of these metrics, improve. So if you're looking for goal improvement, I mean, I think it'll improve student outcomes. I think it'll improve teacher retention. I think it'll improve organizational cultural outcomes. I mean, I think if you go after behavior, it's not a goal, it's an action that helps you meet all of your goals, right? So working out is not the goal, being stronger is the goal. So working out is the action, being stronger is the goal, and so you're making your goal by taking the action. And I think behavior is kind of like your number one action. And I think I say that because I think the families and teachers they say that. But I think there are some other very viable and important actions up here as well. Great question. Does that make sense, though? Okay, cool. Thanks for saying it. Remember, it was organizational systems, right? And I shifted it from organizational systems to culture because building systems became, in my mind, an action. And this powerful organizational culture became the measurable outcome. That became the goal. Does that make sense?
I like the use of culture because I feel like we're seeing in a number of different places a loss of organizational culture coming through. So a commitment to that here and now makes a lot of sense to me.
Culture is a proxy for trust. And
That's what we've heard in all the surveys.
yeah,
Really.
yeah. 100%. And I think it's something we think we do pretty well now when compared to other places people have worked. People are like, hey, the culture here is right. We need to fix some things, though. Yeah.
So I have a thought. So going back to goal area 1, staff recruitment, development, and retention, I always feel like finding ownership is a good way to create retention. And one of the ways that I saw in here right from the get-go was shared leadership.
Yeah.
Does that go in goal 1 versus goal 3?
I mean, it's definitively an action here.
But we reference it in goal 3 as part of the culture.
Yeah, it's definitively part of our organizational culture, but as an action, it touches recruitment because that's the little recruitment icon. But I see what you're saying. You're saying, hey, we want to recruit people who engage in this thing we call shared leadership, which makes everybody want to be part of it.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder if those statements are better. Shared leadership is better pointed out in staff recruitment, development, and retention versus organizational culture.
Anybody have a thought on that?
I mean, I think it's a cultural commitment.
I mean,
Personally,
but,
I would.
and I see what Josh is saying is it's a personal act.
It is.
And so it's about the human.
Yes.
But for me, it is about the organizational culture because the organization either provides said opportunity or doesn't. Shared leadership is either real or it's not. And I'm hearing on the news about organizations around me that my voice is not heard, the collaboration's not vertical. And so I think that's an organizational asset, but it might belong in both. You know what I mean? So let me see if I can't squeeze it around and, see where it fits. That was my dissertation, so I'll put it everywhere.
Well, I think it's one of those, we talk all the time that the hard part about, I'll use compensation is not the right word, but when we're, as a finance committee, right, when we're looking at all the pieces that come into what that is, right, there are these intrinsic things we can't measure, and I would think shared leadership is one of those.
Sure. Yeah, it is very, the first thing you're going to do is compare salary schedules, because that's quantitative and easy, but then you're going to call your friend who works there and goes, hey, what's it like? Right? Yeah. And then you're going to go okay, I can make $4,000 more there, but everyone hates the boss. Yeah, right, yeah.
And I don't know a lot about shared leadership, just to put that out there, so I apologize if I get this wrong, but there are times, life ebbs and flows with our other commitments, so I'm assuming not everyone has the bandwidth to always participate in that structure. So I just want to make sure that we keep the flexibility in that so it meets people where they're
Yeah.
currently at. So if they don't do it today, there's an opportunity tomorrow and vice versa.
And there's been a call out amongst our more veteran staff saying, hey, I love shared leadership. I'm in. It's hard, though. We might consider, like, hey, are there stipends and compensation for being part of leadership and things like that, or department chairs? And we may consider organizational structures that truly create value for this thing that we call shared leadership. Because, like, in the past, we've just done committees. I'll see at 5 o'clock. We're here till, I mean, look at you guys. You're here till after 9. Like, same thing. The teachers are like, yeah, if we could create organizational structures that allow for this shared leadership in a way that I feel valued and heard, win-win. So, yeah. Okay.
I just feel like there's a lot of non-measurable things that are being done, but I don't have an idea of what, I'm gonna be honest. I don't feel it's fully captured because of the fact that we're talking about this whole shared leadership and that activities are.
If you flip this annual staff focus group into a survey,
Yeah.
based on the conditions that we're describing, then you're gonna get more like real time. 150 staff members said, hey, we do have shared leadership or we don't. We do have an organization where, people can participate. Yeah, I don't know. And then you've got some of this down here. Well, that's your survey.
That's a survey.
That's your survey, yeah.
And we fill our goals with a lot of feels, like you said earlier.
True.
Feels. And how do you measure that? Isn't it just surveys, really?
Yeah. No, you're right.
But we like the feels, so.
But one of the big things we're trying to address in this goal initially, and I think we've pulled back from, and I'll bring back in a little bit through the metrics, is clarity of systems.
Yes.
So you see it says we're clear systems. I mean, this thing was all built because, like, hey, I'm not totally sure what you expect of me. I'm a second-year teacher. I'm trying to figure out the ropes here, and I'm learning from my colleagues. But I don't see it. I don't have clarity around, like, I got this student with a disability, and I don't know if I've been trained to meet them, or I don't know if I've been trained to work with their instructional aid. Creating clarity of systems is part of this organizational culture that we're trying to get after. And so I think we need to get that metric down here into, like, did you get clarity? Yeah. And feedback loops of where do we lack clarity? Yeah.
Totally. I know Everest is really built on training purposes, and I can see how that really falls in goal area 1 when we talk about, development, et cetera. Maybe there's something to that whole just overarching having Everest and what that means in terms of creating these systems.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
Yeah,
food
but
for
if you take this idea of defining and blueprinting these practices, which then would create clear systems, like, here's the blueprint, here's how you get trained on it for the things that are trainable on Everest. So, yeah, you're trying to create like an ecosystem where they touch each other.
Is there any kind of feedback, like an end of unit survey for Everest? Like
There is.
Okay.
At the end of
That's
each
cool.
6-part survey, there's a feedback loop. Yeah. I do, I'm saying this out loud just so I capture it in the notes, but I do think that there's a missing piece in this around, because that's like my staff culture scale, how am I feeling, these are my working conditions, but I need a metric that's about this. It's probably in this survey, but it's just like, are you clear about your special education? Are you clear about your behavior? Are you clear about these high touch systems? Do you have clarity? So that we're constantly asking, is it clear or does it need to be clarified? Because that is definitively
Which also
what
touches
these
back
things
to
are.
blueprint, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about blueprinting and then communicating. Which we think produces a culture that, right, when done right. Okay.
One last thing about
Yeah.
this. Hot take. What if instead of organizational culture, we use something like the Westlake way or something, or something that stands out, right? I mean,
I love the hot take. I love the hot take. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. You can you can sprinkle a little Westlake on that. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Yeah, let's get a little creative with that. Goal area 4 and its metrics. This is the addition. maybe it says, we'll deepen and diversify the ways families and community are invited to partner with us or with the school. We will strengthen our wave partnerships and explore new community engagement opportunities within our schools' initiatives. We would measure, so we used to measure hours. You could measure hours. Should measure hours. You're so quantitative. I just love having you on the board. You're so great. You're like, give me numbers.
X amount of hours for everybody.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
There's just such a legal risk with that.
Oh.
No, I mean there is. Yeah, you
You
can.
have to watch your language around it. You can totally
You
track
can
it.
encourage
You
people.
just gotta watch your
You've just been here so long. You remember when we were doing it wrong, right?
Well, most people, yeah, but
There's no most anymore. Okay, so I mean, you could or you couldn't. I didn't put it in there because I've been here a long time.
I mean, we haven't been. That's the norm, right? We haven't been tracking it, so. But.
We track it, we're not required to, there's there's a page to track volunteer hours. I
Right.
think the thing is, it's not required to
No.
have an X amount.
What I'm saying is, if parent X doesn't volunteer 10 hours.
that's illegal.
It's illegal, yeah.
You could encourage them. I'm with you, brother.
I'm just saying, I'll get those numbers up.
Pizza party for the parents.
You could earn. You can earn pizza parties. You can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So, yes. What do you want to do? How will you know? We measure what matters. What matters?
I mean, a piece of data that I would always find interesting that's not here is, I mean, I like to believe all our parents come in for student-led conferences, but I know that's probably not the case. So is that not a piece of engagement that, because I always think of, the school, like you need all the pieces to
Yeah.
work together. So so not just informal or I don't know if that's formal family.
Yeah, it might be
engagement.
that's a formal. These are informal. That might be a list of formal engagements. How many people show up to meet the teacher? Conference 1, conference 2. That might be worth. I mean, it wouldn't be too hard.
You have it down below, but I just wasn't sure what a formal engagement opportunity was.
Yeah.
Just a side note, staff is asked to report on what the numbers are for conferences. So
Currently,
that
yeah.
is a piece of data.
Yeah, it's easy peasy. We got it because we're always trying to track 100%.
Yeah.
There
And
was
we're really asked to try to get 100%.
Yeah.
And even the language was shifted this year to family conferences, and I think it landed really well.
Yeah, because it used to be parent conferences, and it used to be the parent weekly, and now it's a family weekly. There's all that little linguistic. Yeah, words matter. Yeah, so down here, this formal family volunteer and engagement. Yeah, what is that? I mean, I think we're using engagement as a proxy for other forms of volunteerism. That is in this, what we were writing was in-class volunteerism and non-in-class volunteerism, volunteerism at the fall festival versus volunteerism in the classroom. I don't know. I don't even know how hard or easy that is to track, but it would be a cool collaboration with Wave to start to quantify either hours or engagements. I came to school today and I volunteered, or I came to school today and I volunteered for 1.5 hours. Either way, I made the effort to step on, and as we see that trending up, do we see other data points trending up?
You can also look at how many people actually log hours versus how many people we know are volunteering. I know you had a question.
I do, but I don't. They're reading the thing about number of informal family engagement opportunities, and I saw the thing about coffee talk. I was wondering, and this may not be a board thing, but do we have anything like that for the student? This is for the families, and I don't know, because it doesn't really fit in any of the other places. But
It's like when we used to do the fish bowls.
Like a coffee
Yeah,
talk
like fish bowls.
but like a coffee talk for the students, where they can ask questions or provide feedback, something. It's
I'm
not
trying to
very
look
well
up
thought
there and
out, but-
fit it into goal area 4. I'm like, I don't know if it goes
Yeah,
there. I don't know if it goes there. I think it goes there.
It's a culture.
Yeah.
I think it's like a culture of shared leadership that includes all stakeholders. Because Nerali want to put families in culture, and I agree. And you want to put students in there. So giving them this opportunity, these shared leadership opportunities.
Especially when we're talking about the organization, it's everybody. Because the
Yeah.
more engaged families are,
Yeah.
the more supported teachers are.
Let me try to capture a little of that,
then
Sean, and get it down
students
over here.
benefit. What
Let me try
does,
to get, because it could be a survey, and it could be like surveys that lead to focus groups. Yeah, I like that. Especially, well, all grade levels, but especially 6-12.
yeah.
Right? 7-12, certainly 9-12. 9-12 has a governance structure, right? Because they have student body representatives, so they do have a structure like that. But I don't know they interact per se with like me. You know, I mean, I see them in the hallway.
There's a stewardship piece there too
Yeah.
with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So it's-
What is
Okay.
a student learning experience? Like, I'm struggling with the breadth of community partnerships in Goal 4. Events at the very bottom over here.
Oh, breadth of community partnerships. Yeah, so we're trying to go after like kind of in the last draft plan. There's a lot of development conversation. Development was going to raise all this money. Development was we were very dollars oriented, and now it's like if you're looking for community and family partnerships,
Okay.
how can we enrich our student experiences through partnerships as opposed to just raise dollars through partnerships?
Okay, where we get grants and awards, or maybe
It's
we get.
it's grants and awards, but it's also like
in-kind.
extension opportunities. So.
Making ice cream at Leatherby's? No?
I love that. Can we do that?
Oh my gosh, that field trip.
But I just mean that's a field trip. Yes, field lessons. Yes, but also like college and career, the STEM night. STEM
That's
night.
good.
STEM
Okay.
night. A bunch of engineers come in. A bunch of nurses come in.
That's very
Yeah.
helpful. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
they're
what I
like-
needed to.
Those are community partners that are enriching our students.
Perfect. I just needed an idea.
Yeah. So I guess again, what are you creating? A list. Is a list useful? I don't know. Maybe it is. But like you're doing a lot of the curating in this thing, going like, hey, look at all the different ways we're touching.
But in a list is an acknowledgement that we are doing it, right?
that things are being done. Yeah. And then right.
And that's okay
Well, in
sometimes.
theory, it also makes it repeatable.
Right. Go after those same people. Get them
Yes.
back. Yeah.
And more of a commitment.
Build it into the calendar that you're gonna like do X, and then
Yeah.
let people know ahead of time.
Okay, this goal wasn't here last month. It's here this month. I'm not hearing anybody say take it down. So, okay. The last pieces are that we got these 10 actions. I think you can leverage these 10 actions to meet your 4 goals. I also want to recognize, although I didn't put the icons on here for this version, because I put them on after I put this in the board packet, and I didn't want to do what I've done before, which is put the updated version. You're like, well, I didn't see the updated version. I read the old version. We've started to identify WASC goal areas as they apply. So, right, you have this piece here that addresses a WASC goal area. This addresses WASC goal area number 2. This actually addresses part of WASC goal area 3. So as you go through these actions, they touch our 4 goals. They also touch our 3 WASC goals. If you were to accomplish these 10 actions, or make appropriate progress in these 10 actions, I believe you would meet your 4 goals you just described and your 3 WASC goals. And I'll bring that back in the next version. You'll see the WASC goals embedded, because I think the WASC goals belong in the strategic plan at some level. So the workshop is, are these the right actions to meet the goals? Do you need more clarity on any of the actions? And do you have clarity and need any of the actions to change? I'll call your attention from an edu nerd perspective that we're kind of talking about blueprinting the academic tier 1 and SEL tier 1. You all know what tier 1 is. Down here under learner personalization, that's tier 2. While we are personalizing in the classroom, talk about all that intervention enrichment. And then if you go up to special education up here, that's typically deemed tier 3. So I just want to kind of call those out. These are not in any order, and as I reorder them for the final publication, I'll probably put those 3 in order, dunk, 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 so that you see that we're working through all of our tiers academically. Super cool. Any of these? Not feel like the right actions? Does anybody have a favorite action?
Shared leadership.
Let's create an app. Just kidding. You like that one?
Very much so.
too.
I think it creates ownership, which is something that's hard to do in a public sector. But I think that in my mind goes a long way towards retention, hiring, what separates us from other schools. You know, do you want to make the orders or take the orders? And
Love that.
I latched onto that from the first time I read it. I went back through this and was like, are these listed in order of most important? Because that needs to.
Maybe at the top, yeah, I know.
But that's, through the whole thing, shared leadership, I just really kind of latched onto that part of it.
Yeah, and it's called out in our vision statement. It is implied all throughout the charter, and there is a pipeline in approximation in here where you say, hey, if you're an instructional aide, we'd love to help grow you into a teacher. If you're a teacher, we'd love to grow you into whatever comes next. So, a teacher leader, So there's this growth implication in there as well. Other goals that resonate with you, or I'm sorry, actions that resonate with you, or don't?
Under special education, I was just wondering whether the second sentence is building on the first sentence, or whether they are separate ideas.
I'd had the exact same question, because I'm the one who had the problem with consider, and then I felt like, well, is the second still under consideration?
Great. So let's come up with a different word to consider, because I think I just wanted a word to say, consider the possible iterations of redesign, because there's more than one possibility. So my consider there, poorly word choiced was like, examine all possible next pathways.
That's what I thought your intention was, but consider makes it sound like maybe we'll do it.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't like consider it. Nah, we're not gonna do that. Remember, we considered replication or.
But that was a
completing high school.
consideration.
Yeah, that was, and we could, it said, or expand through the 12th grade, and we expanded through the 12th grade. So I think that consider for me was like, consider possible redirections.
But does by creating, like Sean said, is that
So by
building
creating
on
clarity
it?
for all stakeholders and MTS, all stakeholders and MTSS line systems, is that typo? By creating, I think there's a word missing right there. By creating clarity for all stakeholders and MTSS line systems.
Yeah, because are you creating clarity
Yeah,
for the
I'm
system?
sorry, that's my typo. I think what we're trying to say is by creating clarity for all stakeholders regarding all MTSS line systems, because MTSS line systems are what make this possible, because special education is tier 3. We will ensure equitable access to growth, that's for the students, building an infrastructure that matches the depth of our full inclusion commitment. Right, so this is consider a redesign, a structural redesign, then make sure your people understand the structures in which they operate to then ensure the affect on the students.
Which goes back to whichever goal that was 3.
Well, I mean, this one will touch several, but
Definitely the one that really talked about systems.
yeah, organizational culture. Yeah. But so the 3-part thinking here is like examine what you're doing systematically and consider redesigning it. In that redesign process, bring people along with you through the change matrix so they understand what is get some clarity. I'm a teacher. What do you expect me to do? How can I do my job? Where does my job stop? Where does your job pick up? Super important in here. So that we can ensure equitable access for the kids, growth, right? Does that make sense? So I think that's what it means. Maybe I'll get some rewording in there. I have a thought that each one of these little short briefs has to become a longer appendices. Because you're trying to keep this all on one page.
Like an expansion.
You get real cute with your words. And you're like, well, that doesn't say enough. What do you mean? So I think I'm going to have to take these, lift them. I'll leave it on here in some version. So at a quick glance, they go, goals, actions, got it. But if you want to go to Appendix Zeta, you're like, okay, this whole page is just about student behavior. Thugunk. Right? So I think I'll be able to unpack more clearly. Other actions? Sorry it's so late, everybody. Appreciate you. If it wasn't a pressing issue, I wouldn't keep you. But I'm like, I got to get your thoughts on this because it's going to turn into a plan that's gonna drive what we do next.
I just want to make sure I understand. When we're talking about shared leadership, we're really talking about school leadership and
That's a great
cultivating
point.
that. And I ask that because when I read culture and climate, I know there's a big difference, but I can also see them having a bigger umbrella together, but I do like them separate. I'm just asking for clarity.
Yeah, I don't see culture and climate in this.
No, you keep it separate.
Well,
Okay.
wait, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were implying that the words culture and climate weren't here.
No.
Cultivate leadership from within by deepening shared decision-making practices and creating an intentional pipeline that grows the next generation of
I'm
Westlake.
just kind of making sure that's more staff,
I
administrative
think that's
level.
internal.
Okay, perfect.
I don't know that it
I just wanted to make sure that's.
has to be. So I think I'll have to explore that because could students
It
play?
is a culture piece. I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I think keeping them separate seems appropriate because when I think of culture and climate, I think you're talking about all representatives, families, staff, leadership, and then when I think of shared leadership, I'm thinking about like internal leadership. And I just want to make sure I'm looking at that those goal.
But this one, this one
actions
does
accordingly.
address that culture, organizational culture goal because you can see that
Correct.
icon
It
there.
does.
So
Yeah,
it
no,
does.
it does.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure we are talking
But
about.
we definitively
kind of-
don't have the family one there, do we? Or do we?
No,
Is
we
it-
No,
don't have student.
we don't have. We don't have student there. So
Oh, we don't
that's
have
why I
student,
just
we
want to
don't
get
have student.
clarity.
I
Yeah.
got it.
Okay.
We have family. Okay, that's an interesting thought. Let's scratch on that a little bit. Anybody else? Here's what I'd love to do as you go away from this conversation. We've talked about goals. We've talked about metrics. We've talked about actions. Do you understand how they all fit together? Yeah, we're conceptualizing goals to be measurable, actions to drive goals and outcomes. So that makes sense. We're going to situate this all in that framework we talked about last month and bring it back. But if you wake up with like another quantitative way to measure something, email it to me. If you honestly, as you noodle and leave here, you're like, you know what we should have said? Please email it in because this plan's getting worked on three times a week right now, so it's really gonna start to grow into something, and we don't want to get to the end and go, oh, I should have said. So if you got something to say, bring it up. Very good. Again, sorry for the late hour.
Are there any public comments, Amy? No. All right. So we'll adjourn out of closed session. I don't anticipate a report out. So before we get there, would you like to do reflection?
Sure. What worked well, or what would have worked better if in tonight's meeting? First person to go is the person who seems awake still. Sean Permit. I'm just kidding. Sean, what do you got? You help us out. What do you got? Lead us off.
I mean, it's a lot. So I know it has to be a lot, but it would
Doesn't
have worked better if it was less.
Yeah, that's good. Which part? The academic, the interim, or the strat plan?
I think the strat plan. It's hard for me personally. This is not my
Right.
strong suit, and so having it at the end of a lot, even though the a lot is my strong suit with the data
And the
I'm
numbers,
happy
yeah.
with that, it's a lot for my brain.
Totally.
At the end of the day, after all of that.
10 o'clock at night. Yeah, for sure. Maybe I should have front loaded at the beginning of the meeting. Yeah. Houston, what worked well, what worked better if?
Oh, the microphone. I think what worked well is, I am tired, so that I'm not speaking my best now, like you're saying. I think everyone was so thoughtful and considered how big this is, and there was just, kind of similar to last month, there was a lot of feedback that I hadn't considered, and I really appreciate everyone sharing their lens, so we can frame it the correct way.
Yeah, what worked well for me was just people, and I would say this in a bad way, but people interrupting my slides, because I'm like, oh, good, you're part of the show now. I want to hear your voice. So yeah, that works real well for me. Hope?
Yeah, I think there was too much tonight.
We should have probably punted on academics till next month.
That's what I was thinking.
Because then we'll be flat next month and be like, well, that was short.
No, I don't know that we'll ever be short. I see that day being long into the future, that will be a short meeting. But I do think that academic was a very deep, and then this was deep. I mean, I didn't anticipate this part being an hour and 20. And so,
The strap line?
yeah.
Oh, I kind of figured, yeah.
No, but I hadn't seen everything in advance. If I had seen the packets of stuff, I would have known.
This was in the packet.
No, but the
Oh.
worksheets
Oh,
and-
on how we were
and
gonna
then
cover it?
once I felt the thickness of this, I had a
Yeah.
sense, but I didn't have a sense until then, so I didn't properly
All right.
plan.
All right.
I think these are great, and I love doing it. I just wish I could have utilized them more by just having more time.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
That's all it is,
Yeah.
I think these are great resources and get me thinking,
Yeah.
and I'd love to come
I
feel
think,
better.
yeah, I think the implication of this being in the packet was that you would come in ready for the discussion. And so I didn't prepare you all, because I should have said, we're going to discuss this. But I just don't know, I don't know.
No, I mean, I think we all reviewed it, sorry.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no, I
speaking-
think
But
I think-
this would help frame.
Yeah, if I were
how
to say,
reviewed
I'm
it.
gonna ask you this.
Yes.
When you read this, because you read this and went, okay, cool, maybe we're done.
Yeah.
Hour, 20 minutes later. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I had like word thoughts. I was like, oh, maybe that's what we're gonna go do. But it was
Yeah.
like no words.
I was like, no words.
Like, oh, whoa,
Right.
okay, I need to.
No words.
I got that part already. I should have shared that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
part,
yeah.
I already got the lecture
I should have
on.
put that in the packet, don't give me words.
No, but this was great. I think this worked really well. I appreciated the academic piece. I really liked you going really into it. I know last year we talked about, okay, this is going to shift. The score is going to change because the 5-year average is changing. I think it's really interesting to kind of really see, and I really appreciated a great breakdown of all the interventions. Again, as a great reminder, I don't think
But,
I had that.
but I think we could have done a better job of being like, it wouldn't have killed us to punt academics to next month. Yep,
I mean, by our own calendar, we're already a month late.
perfect. So, yeah, it's my evaluation still tonight. Sapphire, what do you got?
Well, what everybody else said so far, but I'll say some of the positives. The cookies were great, and
Oh, yes.
Steve's second interim budget. I don't know how you got with that all in and 4 slides or whatever, but that was phenomenal.
Oh,
That
yeah,
could have been easy,
yeah.
25 to 30
Yeah,
slides.
your evaluations tonight
The
too.
cookies.
Josh, what do you got?
That was nice.
Well, he stole mine because I was going to compliment the organizational culture and knowing it was going to go long and bringing the cookies, knowing we can be bought, and I thought that was a good move.
Yeah, great. Steve, you playing along?
Yeah, I think what Raleigh said, just reflecting back on just the interventions that happen,
Yeah.
just when you see them all together and how they're structured, and the value that the school places on that, it's just so impressive. So just, I know it took some time to kind of go through that, but just to see it, and it was like, oh yeah, like a lot happens out there. So, yeah, so well done.
I wonder how much of it could be a memo. How much of this meeting could be a memo? Sean and I talked about that earlier. Suzanne?
I appreciate that you want our feedback on this. I really liked in our last workshop, though, how we broke into smaller groups and talked, because some of us talk a lot, some of us
Sure.
don't talk as much, but when you get to talk in a group for a bit
Yeah.
and then share out what your thoughts
Yeah.
were, I think that would be really
Yeah, our opening workshop, we got to do that because we were in a workshop model. Yeah, I could have maybe bust out the workshop model. Sanchez?
I enjoyed the academic report. I live and breathe that
Yeah.
every day, and so seeing that the interventions are beneficial and it is a lot and it's working.
Yeah, it's good. Sean, thanks for leading. Appreciate you.
All right, so with that, we'll adjourn into closed session where we have 2 items on regarding existing litigation.
Very good. Thank you on the YouTubes. Good night, Paul Jacob. Hope you're not still up, buddy. It's late. Good night, everybody. His picture was on the slide. It was so great.
Is the bottom line the attendings? What's the blue line?
Yeah, that's people who are currently watching.